Chapter 46. Seeing that Lin Yuan understood, Su Jin continued to explain to Lin Yuan. The source seed's growth and evolution are different from ordinary phase. The source seed is like a seed that you can create at will. Through nurturing, and inducing, you can determine the source seed's ability and evolution direction. I suggest you nurture the source seed into a healing type Fei. It will be beneficial to your body. Lin Yuan finally understood the source seed's function. To put it bluntly, the source seed was like a canvas, and the owner of the source seed could freely create on the canvas to determine the source seed's evolution shape, type, and ability. Lin Yuan wasn't planning to nurture the source seed into a healing type Fei. Lin Yuan was prepared to nurture the source seed into a purebred combat type plant Fei. This would allow Lin Yuan to have the ability to protect himself at all times and places. Lin Yuan had always had an obsession when it came to combat, and that was to possess combat ability no matter what. Otherwise, a pure healer wouldn't have the capital to settle down. Auntie Su and Uncle Dong exchanged contact numbers with Lin Yuan and told him to call if there was anything. Lin Yuan nodded in agreement. This was a gesture of goodwill from others. Lin Yuan was someone who never begged for help, and unless he had no other choice, he would never ask for help. However, Lin Yuan was going to remember this favor in his heart. Auntie Su took out another box and handed it to Lin Yuan. I am representing myself to give this to you. Lin Yuan opened it and saw a box filled with radiance dollars. There were countless stacked together, but it seemed like there were at least 100 of them. Before Lin Yuan could speak, Uncle Dong's dissatisfied voice echoed. Hey, Su Jin, didn't we agree to give it to each other together? Why did you give it to me first without telling me? After speaking, he walked in front of Lin Yuan and took out a box from his pocket. He placed it in front of Lin Yuan and smiled. Little Yuan, Uncle has one too. Nurturing the source seed and providing for your sister's schooling will require expenses. Don't be frugal. Your Auntie Su and I will give you radiance dollars every once in a while. After speaking, he stuffed the box into Lin Yuan's hand. Lin Yuan first received them, then very solemnly closed the two boxes, handed them back to Su Jin and Dong Hai and said, Aunt Su, I won't take Uncle Dong's money. Without explaining too much, Lin Yuan just stood there with a smile on his lips, and his eyes were filled with determination and sincerity. Dong Hai became anxious and tried to persuade him. Little Yuan, accept it and listen to me. I don't think I can take it. I don't want what you think, I want what I think. Lin Yuan suddenly didn't know what to say. Why did the uncle suddenly become so greasy? Warning. As Lin Yuan spoke, Su Jin kept looking into his eyes. Su Jin, a member of the spirit guards who had seen life and death, suddenly felt that the young man's eyes could be so clear and sincere. From the look in his eyes, Su Jin understood that no matter what he said today, he wouldn't accept the money. Alright Dong Hai, if little Yuan doesn't want it then so be it. After saying that, he took the two boxes from Lin Yuan. He carried one box with him, and tossed the other back to Dong Hai. Then he didn't forget to say to Dong Hai, don't say another word tonight. Dong Hai only felt a little wronged, and shut his mouth in embarrassment. Lin Yuan realized that Uncle Dong's temperament had become very simple and honest. He was not as greasy as before. Looks like this Aunt Su is an expert at removing oil. At that moment, Su Jin suddenly changed the topic and spoke to Lin Yuan. This time, the Xia region has opened up a Class 1 dimensional rift that is connected to the insect world. Until now, there are still a large number of alien insects near the dimensional rift. I will bring you to take a look at the spirit guard's work. Do you want to come? Lin Yuan immediately expressed his agreement and said very firmly, go. Dimensional rifts and the insect world were things that Lin Yuan had never come into contact with before. However, since these things existed in this world, he had to come into contact with them. Now that he had the opportunity, he naturally had to go. Moreover, he wanted to understand more about the work of the spirit guards. He wanted to better understand what his parents, who were members of the spirit guards, had to go through and empathize with them. Perhaps one day in the future, he would also explore the dimensional rift alone. According to the news, the dimensional rift would become active within half a year. and an exotic beast tide would surge out of it. When that time came, he would have to face it. Now that someone was bringing him to understand it in advance, it was simply a great thing. Su Jin looked at Lin Yuan with admiration and said to Dong Hai, "In a while, you will clean up the alien insects. You clear the alien insects later. I'll protect little Yuan." Dong Hai's eyes immediately lit up as he quickly nodded. When it came to protection, cleaning up the alien insects was definitely more suitable for Dong Hai. Su Jin circulated her spiritual energy and summoned her fae. A snow-white bird with a wingspan of over 10 meters appeared in the air. The fae's feathers were fine, soft and pure white like satin. Its sharp claws had a glaring metallic luster. The bird's head was different from regular birds. Regular birds had a petite head, but Su Jin's fae's head was almost 1/3 the size of its body. Lin Yuan used true data to check on this fae's information. Fae name, Silk Feather Snow Owl Fae Species, Cover Feather Species / Snow Owl Species Fae Grade, Platinum, 8 out of 10, Fae Type, Chi/Ice Fae Quality, Flawless Abilities Frowny Face Feather Attack. Use the wings to launch a rapid attack and shoot out the sharp side feathers on the wings at the same time. Feather Shield. Use the dense feathers on the body to defend against damage. Snow Feather Stab. When shooting out the cold feathers can condense cold ice to launch scattered damage. Ground Snow Walk. Extreme cold air flow forms an avalanche on the ground and carries out an indiscriminate blizzard burying and freezing attack. Snow Protection. Summon the power of extreme cold and condense solid ice to protect multiple targets from all directions. It also grants ice and snow resistance. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Rapid Cold. Increase frost affinity and allow ice-type abilities to have a rapid cold effect. The Silk Feather Snow Owl was a flying fae and also a defense-type fae. However, looking at the Silk Feather Snow Owl's claws, Lin Yuan knew that its attack power had to be extraordinary. At Platinum, apart from abilities and characteristics, the fae's physical damage was already extraordinary. Su Jin's Silk Feather Snow Owl had been nurtured and awakened to be more attack-oriented. As a defense-type fae, apart from its outstanding defense, its attack power was also rather outstanding. The Silk Feather Snow Owl's appearance gave Chimey a fright, and Lin Yuan quickly comforted it. After comforting it, he left Chimey at home. Lin Yuan didn't want to bring Genius and Chimey along. Not only would it be dangerous, but Genius and Chimey's extraordinary abilities might also be detected by Su Jin and Dong Hai. This wasn't what Lin Yuan wished to see. Once Chimey evolved to bronze grade, it would undergo prehistoric atavism, or a spiritual mutation. Once Chimey evolved to bronze grade, it would undergo prehistoric atavism, or spirituality mutation, and its appearance would undergo a drastic change. At that time, it wouldn't be treated as a sound bird. Under Su Jin's instructions, Lin Yuan rode on the Silk Feather Snow Owl's back. This was Lin Yuan's first time observing a platinum fae at such a close distance. And it was also his first time riding on a platinum aerial fae. The Silk Feather Snow Owl was truly comfortable and unbelievably handsome. When stepping on the Silk Feather Snow Owl's back, Lin Yuan felt as though he was stepping on a large velvet bed, and it was extremely enjoyable. The Silk Feather Snow Owl flew in the sky like a hanging cloud. In just a short moment, it flew out of the Xia region and stopped in the vicinity of the dimensional rift. After alighting from the Silk Feather Snow Owl, Lin Yuan could faintly hear the cries of all sorts of alien insects in the dark night. It was as though there were greedy butchers hiding in the dark night. At that moment, a pair of uniformed individuals ran over. Su Jin went forward and handed over his identification along with his badge. The other party immediately saluted and retreated to other areas to patrol. When Lin Yuan saw their attire, he recognized that they were Redbud City's renowned Redbud Guards. It was rumored that every Redbud Guard possessed a gold fae, and they were considered the backbone of Redbud City. Lin Yuan didn't expect that this Class 1 dimensional rift would actually have so many Redbud Guards guarding it. As of now, Lin Yuan had seen more than 3 teams. When seeing Lin Yuan's doubtful expression, Su Jin patiently explained, "This Class 1 dimensional rift is connected to the insect world. It might be a Class 1 dimensional rift, But the danger level isn't inferior to a Class 2 dimensional rift. The alien insect's reproduction ability is extremely strong, and they can devour to evolve. Their growth speed is very fast, so it is very difficult to deal with. All of a sudden, Lin Yuan heard a weak sound from behind, and he saw Dong Hai swinging his fist behind him. One of the alien insects was struck by Dong Hai's fist and fell to the ground. It was spitting out venom from its body, and it was obvious that it wouldn't survive. Dong Hai reminded in a serious tone, "We are almost at the location of the dimensional rift. When the time comes, little Yuan, you will take a look at how dangerous this dimensional rift is." Soon enough, Lin Yuan saw a dark red rift that nearly penetrated through half the sky in the distance. Behind the rift, there seemed to be a mystical world, and there would be alien insects falling from the rift from time to time. This shocking scene caused Lin Yuan's eyes to shrink. From the looks of it, there were probably hundreds of alien insects falling from the dimensional rift every moment. It was as though they were constantly being squeezed out. At that moment, Uncle Dong shouted to the front, "Spirit guards, Dong Hai, requests to open the dimensional rift's restriction and carry out the dimensional rift's foundation cleanup." Just as Dong Hai's voice fell, a person flew over from the opposite side. After checking his identification, he gave instructions to the Redbud guards guarding the dimensional rift. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw that the layer of obstruction outside the dark red dimensional rift had suddenly disappeared. It was as though the dimensional rift had exploded, and all sorts of alien insects were spewing out rapidly. Su Jin had been explaining the knowledge regarding dimensional rifts to Lin Yuan. "Little Yuan, don't be fooled by the fact that dimensional rifts are spewing out a lot of alien insects. Most of them are elite grade, and only a few are bronze. There aren't even a few silver ones." Lin Yuan said in astonishment. "Even so, it will probably take a long time to clean up." Lin Yuan had never seen such a scene before, and it was even more shocking than the sci-fi blockbusters he had seen in sci-fi movies. At that moment, Dong Hai said, "Little Yuan, I can handle such a small scene by myself. Little Yuan, I can handle such a small matter by myself." This statement made Lin Yuan feel that Dong Hai's body had that indescribable aura from before, as though he had drunk a few bowls of lasagna. Dong Hai snapped his fingers, and a platinum fey appeared at his feet. This was a giant wolf with a pale blue body and a faint purple glow. Dong Hai opened his hands and waved them like a performer as he shouted loudly, "Let's hunt! A pack of wolves!" This azure blue giant wolf suddenly flashed, and Lin Yuan found himself surrounded by countless wolves. The wolf pack rushed toward the alien insects and began a hunting feast. When Lin Yuan looked at the giant azure wolf's true data, his eyes shrank again. Fey name, Dark Shadow Dire Wolf Spirit Species, Dire Wolf/Canine Tooth Fey Grade, Platinum 10 out of 10, Fey Type, Dark Comprehension Grade, Epic Skills Frowny Face Bite, uses its teeth to tear its prey while dealing piercing damage. Claw Strike, uses sharp claws to sweep the enemy, tearing the target's flesh. Roar of Terror, lets out a terrifying roar to intimidate the enemy, lowering the enemy's defense. Dark Wave, emits an extremely destructive dark wave from the wolf's mouth to deal small area damage. Shadow of Myriad Wolves, splits its own energy to form wolf shadows that are lower than its own grade. The number of wolf shadows is determined by the set energy. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Energy Absorption, rapidly absorb the prey's energy during hunting to replenish itself. The Dark Shadow Dire Wolf's nurturing was too outstanding, and its exclusive skill and skills were a perfect match. The wolf pack would kill the alien insects and absorb their energy before splitting into new individuals, forming a cycle against low-grade prey. This Dark Shadow Dire Wolf was truly a killing tool against low-grade alien insects. The Dark Shadow Dire Wolf gave Lin Yuan a new understanding of Fey's abilities, evolution directions, and exclusive skills. It was like opening the door to a new world. Under the moonlight, all the battles between the wolf pack and the alien insects were quietly beautiful amidst the slaughter. Lin Yuan looked at Dong Hai, who was shaking his head as though he was directing a musical, and revealed a handsome and puzzled expression. Especially when Dong Hai waved his hands, for words flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Doomsday Jump. Chapter 47. The massacre under the moonlit night was accompanied by a chilly chill. The alien insects were all slaughtered by the azure blue giant wolf that was emitting a faint purple glow. After the massacre, the person left, leaving the insect corpses all over the ground for the redbud guards to clean up. At that moment, an inconspicuous black crow looked at the insect corpses all over the ground and quietly stayed on the treetop. However, the crow's eyes had a trace of cruelty and viciousness, as well as a trace of contempt. After quietly standing for a moment, the black crow instantly burst towards the entrance of the dimensional rift. When Lin Yuan returned, he realized that he had obtained another willpower rune. Aren't willpower runes very hard to obtain? Why does it seem so easy for me to obtain one? Is it because I am too smart? Lin Yuan cursed in his heart. This willpower rune was what Lin Yuan had sensed when he had seen the alien insects being slaughtered. Slaughtering the alien insects was destruction, but it was hope for the people of the Xia region. Destruction and hope were contradictory existences, but they might have been intertwined. However, their standpoints were different, so the definition of hope and destruction was different. The true intent of this willpower rune was the hope that blossomed amidst the massacre. This was a true offensive willpower rune. Lin Yuan didn't use the source seed immediately after returning. Instead, he spent a large sum of money to purchase books related to source seeds on the star web. In the end, he realized that the books only had a very simple introduction to the source seed. It only introduced that the source seed was a type of source type item, but the usage of the source seed was only briefly mentioned. There were plenty of dimensional rifts and plenty of sealed and destroyed dimensional rifts. However, there were all sorts of source type items, and there were only 2 source seeds. The previous source seed's owner only needed a drop of blood to complete the contract with the source seed. Then, the source seed would be buried in the energy or in wait for the source seed to germinate. However, not long after, the recipient of the source seed was just an ordinary person and didn't survive the disaster of a class 3-dimensional rift. Therefore, the research on the source seed had to come to an end. The previous research had also defined the source seed as one of the weaker types of source type items. Otherwise, no matter how Lin Yuan's parents' merit points and Andy Zhang's Uncle Li's merit points were added up, they wouldn't be able to exchange for the remaining source seed. After reading about the source seed's limited information, Lin Yuan had a better understanding of the source seed. At that moment, Lin Yuan also decided to sign a contract with the source seed. After taking out the source seed, Lin Yuan looked at its wrinkled appearance and felt that it was ordinary. However, through this ordinary appearance, Lin Yuan saw 4 hot and warm hearts. Lin Yuan made a cut on his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood onto the source seed. Lin Yuan realized that his blood was quickly absorbed by the source seed. At the same time, he discovered that there was a contract between him and the source seed that seemed to originate from their bloodline. After signing the contract, he prepared to stop the bleeding on his hand. Before he could stop the bleeding, a drop of blood dripped onto the source seed. Just as Lin Yuan was about to wipe it off, he realized that the source seed had already absorbed the drop of blood. At that moment, Lin Yuan felt that the contract between him and the source seed had deepened. Lin Yuan continued to try dripping his blood on the source seed. After 5 or 6 drops, Lin Yuan could faintly feel the source seed's emotions. At this moment, the source seed was expressing a desire for its contractor's blood. Lin Yuan felt that there was a discrepancy between this source seed and the information in the books that he had bought online. According to the books, after the previous contractor dripped a drop of blood on the source seed, they would feel the contract's connection and stop. However, since Lin Yuan could feel the source seed's desire, he gritted his teeth and cut open his palm. A pillar of fresh blood landed on the source seed, but the source seed wasn't afraid and quickly absorbed it. 1 minute later, when Lin Yuan felt that he was feeling weak and dizzy due to the blood loss, the source seed finally stopped absorbing the blood. Lin Yuan quickly used the jasmine lily to heal himself. The jasmine lily's healing ability might not be able to heal Lin Yuan's wound immediately, but it was able to stop the bleeding in just a few seconds. The Elite X Jasmine Lily could already be considered a qualified healing type Fae. Lin Yuan took a closer look at the source seed that had absorbed blood and realized that the scab on the surface of the source seed was slowly shedding. The layer of scab had already turned into a soft, dark red color. The dark red scab was moved back into the source seed's interior. At the same time, a 3-centimeter tall sprout grew out from the front of the source seed. At this moment, Lin Yuan could clearly feel that the source seed was waiting for his instructions on which direction and form it should grow in. Lin Yuan had already made a plan for the source seed's evolution over the past few days. He immediately said, "The 2 sprout will grow into a mouth that preys on plants." Lin Yuan was prepared to nurture this source seed into a type of preying plant. Then, it would become the direction of preying on plants. It would slowly evolve in other directions. The source seed listened to Lin Yuan's instructions, and the 2 sprouts quickly grew into 2 cylindrical leaf stems that were 40 centimeters tall after undergoing intense growth. The center of the leaf stems was like a stomach, and Lin Yuan felt that it should be hollow when he touched it. At the top of the leaf stems, there were 2 red rose-like flowers. Lin Yuan carefully observed the flowers and realized that the top of the flowers only looked like a simple rose. However, there were sharp barbs on the petals. When the petals spun, there was a huge mouth that was filled with saw teeth. Lin Yuan didn't expect that a single command from him would allow the source seed to evolve a complete organ for preying. It seemed like the source seed wasn't as weak as the information said. On the contrary, Lin Yuan felt that the source seed was very strong, and it wasn't at normal yet. However, Lin Yuan felt that even normal offense-type phase, like the gray-haired hound, wouldn't be a match for the source seed and would only become its food. Lin Yuan injected spirit qi into the source seed and realized that it wouldn't absorb the spirit qi that he transmitted. It seemed like the information was right. The only way for the source seed to evolve was to absorb energy. As a combat-type plant, Lin Yuan didn't wish for the source seed to overly rely on the soil to absorb energy. If the plant relied on the soil too much, it would suffer more restrictions during combat. Right now, the source seed could increase its energy through eating and accelerate its evolution. It didn't need to rely on the roots to absorb energy. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to let the source seed's roots change. Of course, it wasn't that he wouldn't allow the roots to absorb energy from the soil, but he could use it as a method. For example, it could instantly absorb the energy from the soil to replenish itself or strengthen the root's ability. Of course, these were just Lin Yuan's thoughts. The specific evolution would have to wait until the source seed evolved to bronze grade and awakened its characteristics before making a detailed decision. Chapter 48. From now on, Red Thorn would require Lin Yuan to provide food just like Genius and Chimey. As for Red Thorn's food, Lin Yuan had made a decision when he saw the alien insects. What else was more suitable than alien insects to feed Red Thorn? The alien insects' carapace was hard, and their flesh was corrosive. Feeding such things to Red Thorn could increase its digestive ability and allow its predatory organs to produce extremely corrosive acid by digesting the alien insects. Alien insects were products of the insect world in the dimensional space and didn't exist in the outside world. On the star web, alien insect carcasses were sold as spiritual ingredients. Lin Yuan was preparing to prepare the insect carcasses for Red Thorn to see how many alien insects Red Thorn would need to digest to evolve into normal. After entering the star web store, Lin Yuan saw plenty of people waiting inside. There might be plenty of fresh faces, but Lin Yuan wasn't unfamiliar with their intentions. They were all waiting for him. They wanted to order bronze usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish from him. Some of them were even willing to increase the price to order from him. But Lin Yuan rejected all of them without exception. Running a small store, especially a face store on the star web, apart from the usual phase that were sold, it would be private customization. Private customization would vary from person to person, and the price would be different. However, Lin Yuan still chose to treat all the fays that were sold in the store the same. In his previous life, Lin Yuan didn't know how to open a store. In this life, his knowledge of opening a store was all based on what his parents had said and done when he was young. Opening a store always required some enthusiasm and perseverance. Now that Lin Yuan had passed down this enthusiasm and perseverance, it wouldn't change easily. Boss, I would like to order 30 pots of bronze usnias at a higher price than the market price. Boss, I would like to order 100 elite spirit siphon goldfish from you. I wonder if boss can negotiate? After listening to these people, Lin Yuan was rather tempted, but he firmly rejected them. When the store launches new products, you are welcome to come and snatch them. After sending these people off with a smile, Lin Yuan let out a sigh. Recently, with the increase in the Star Web's transactions and the constant arrival of new customers, the role of AI robots was getting smaller. Now, Lin Yuan really wanted to hire an employee on the Star Web. Over the past 10 days, his store was no longer as unknown as it was at the beginning. Because his store had always been selling goods that rarely appeared on the Star Web, it had been classified as a boutique store by the Star Web. With the title of a boutique store, it was the same as Lin Yuan's store receiving a promotion. More and more people came because of its reputation, and the goods in Lin Yuan's hands seemed to be unable to keep up. Many Star Web stores were worried about the sales of their goods, but Lin Yuan's store's goods would be immediately bought by people who were waiting for new goods in less than 10 minutes. During this period of time, the bronze usnias and the elite spirit siphon goldfish had earned him close to 400 radiance dollars. Lin Yuan could be considered to have saved up the money for the next 3 drops of gold-grade dragon blood. There was still some time before the 27th, and he would probably be able to earn a sum of radiance dollars during this period. From there, he would be able to save up the money from picking up the missing phase. For Lin Yuan, who was eager to increase his strength, it was not enough no matter how many radiance dollars he had. Previously, he only had 1 willpower rune, so the pressure was already very great. Thus, he was eager to let the Jasmine Lily evolve to legend at bronze. From there, it would evolve into a fantasy breed. Now that he had 1 more willpower rune, Lin Yuan was already thinking of evolving Red Thorn from bronze to legend and into a fantasy breed. Red Thorn wasn't like ordinary phase that Lin Yuan could use spirit chi to evolve and improve its quality. To Red Thorn, what it needed was real resources and economy. It was really a sweet burden. Just as Lin Yuan was preparing to contact Zhou Jiesin, he saw a message from a good friend. When Lin Yuan saw it, he couldn't help but sigh. This braised egghead was really not a lucky person. To think that she had said that she would definitely be able to produce a transparent spider web. After thinking about it, it would be strange if someone who was bitten by the ghost shadow-bristled spider was a lucky person. Therefore, Lin Yuan was going to continue to prepare 5 Elite X/Epic web-spraying spiders for the braised egghead. This wasn't a big deal for Lin Yuan, and it could be done easily. After replying to the braised egghead's message, Lin Yuan started to contact Zhou Jiesin. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Big Sister Xian, do you have alien insect carcasses for sale? Zhou Jiesin. There are low-level alien insect corpses, and there are a lot of them. If you want them, if you don't need a lot, I can give you a few. Zhou Jiesin was a little surprised that Lin Yuan wanted to buy the alien insect carcasses. The alien insect carcasses were not considered cheap, and Zhou Jiesin had offered to give one to Lin Yuan to get closer to him. This was also a way to improve the relationship with customers. Another reason was that the recent dimensional rifts had opened in various places, causing the price of alien insect carcasses to drop. Zhou Jiesin had taken advantage of this descent to store a lot of alien insect corpses. She didn't mind giving away 3 or 4 of them. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Big Sister Xian, you don't have to give them to me. I will need a large number of alien insect corpses in the future. This time, I want 100 corpses, another 5,000 kilograms of inferior energy ores, 250 kilograms of butterfly shells, 40 normal spirit siphon goldfish, and 5 elite level 10 flawless web spraying spiders. Lin Yuan simply bought everything from Zhou Jiesin's store. After purchasing Zhou Jiesin's store for such a long time, Lin Yuan wasn't worried about the quality of the spiritual ingredients and phase. Zhou Jiesin didn't expect Lin Yuan to buy so many things in one go. Lin Yuan's constantly increasing purchasing power made Zhou Jiesin very happy. At the same time, Zhou Jiesin treated Lin Yuan as her golden customer. and the store's spiritual ingredients and resources were all open to Lin Yuan. As a Class 3 store, Zhou Jiesin had plenty of spiritual ingredients and phase. Those precious spiritual ingredients and phase were resources that could make friends with customers, and Zhou Jiesin had been using them cautiously. However, Zhou Jiesin would be very generous in contributing her resources to Lin Yuan in the future. Of course, there was a prerequisite, and it was that Lin Yuan could afford the price. After logging off the Star Web, Lin Yuan quickly received the goods that he had just bought from Zhou Jiesin's store. These 100 alien insect corpses were stored in the Ostrich Logistics Phase storage box, and he didn't have to worry about them rotting. Lin Yuan tossed the alien insect carcasses to Red Thorn, and it tried to sense the smell of the alien insect carcasses. Then, 2 red roses spun open and formed a bloody mouth that was the size of a basketball before swallowing the 2 alien insect carcasses. Red Thorn's digestion of the alien insect corpses was surprisingly fast, and in just 5 to 6 minutes, the 2 alien insect corpses were completely consumed. Lin Yuan continued to feed it, and when there were 80 alien insect corpses, Red Thorn stopped eating after digesting the alien insect corpses. Its body started to shake violently as it evolved, and started to grow other body structures. Chapter 49. Red Thorn's body was shaking more and more violently. During the shaking, thorny vines grew out from Red Thorn's body one after another. The thorny vines were around 1.5 meters long, and there were around 10 of them. Each vine was covered with sharp thorns. These thorns weren't ordinary thorns but curved barbs. If such barbs pierced into the flesh, the vines would just need to exert a little force to split open the flesh, or even pull it off. When looking at Red Thorn's normal state, Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh at Red Thorn's offensive power. Red Thorn's evolution seemed to be born for combat, but Red Thorn's evolution had yet to be completed. At the center of Red Thorn, a half-meter-tall fruit-like object suddenly grew out. This fruit-like object was pale red in color. As compared to the digestive organs on both sides of Red Thorn, this fruit was much taller and thicker. Red Thorn's 2 digestive organs slowly connected with this fruit-like object. At this moment, Red Thorn stopped evolving. Lin Yuan checked on Red Thorn's true data. Fey name: Red Thorn preys on plants. Fey species: vine subfamily/kingflower. Fey grade: normal. Fey type: source. Fey quality: elite abilities. Frowny face, mouth of relinquish, secretes vigorous digestive fluid. The digestive fluid has a strong corrosive nature and can rapidly digest the energy in the food. Red Thorn looked a little sinister and terrifying now. However, what caught Lin Yuan's attention the most was Red Thorn's newly grown fruit-like object. It was a new organ. The growth of this organ was due to Red Thorn's normal ability, the mouth of relinquish. If Red Thorn's digestive organ could only be described as perfect previously, then it was now perfect in Lin Yuan's opinion. Red Thorn had perfected his command when it was still at normal rank. The newly grown organ was a digestive furnace. The digestive device could rapidly digest the alien insects' carcasses and secrete a large amount of plant corrosive fluid. Not only could the plant corrosive fluid help digest food, but it could also be spat out by the 2 rose flowers to attack. Lin Yuan quickly fed Red Thorn with the alien insect carcasses. The mouth of relinquish that grew out of Red Thorn's mouth cracked open, revealing numerous gaps filled with sharp teeth. Lin Yuan tossed 10 insect carcasses into the mouth of relinquish, and it only took a few wriggles to grind all the insect carcasses. The digestive fluid was even more acidic than sulfuric acid, and in just a few minutes, they were completely digested. Lin Yuan was shocked by Red Thorn's digestion speed. However, he did not hesitate and immediately ordered 3,000 alien insect corpses from Zhou Jiesin's shop on Star Web. Next, Lin Yuan planned to let Red Thorn constantly eat and digest the alien insect corpses to strive to reach elite as soon as possible. Apart from occasionally going to Star and purchasing resources on Star, Lin Yuan would also occasionally purchase resources. While he was busy, he took the time to finish the customization for the braised egg head. He spent the rest of the time enhancing the jasmine lily, the spirit siphon goldfish, genius, and chimey. He was to Lin's spirit siphon Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan had no choice but to patiently increase the grade and quality of the spirit siphon goldfish, which was his spirit-locked Fey. However, he didn't have the time for the other spirit siphon goldfish. However, in the spirit-locked spatial zone that was filled with spirit chi, the ordinary spirit siphon goldfish in the spirit pool were able to evolve rather quickly. When these normal spirit siphon goldfish evolved to elite, it was Lin Yuan's main source of income. Day by day, Lin Yuan ran the purchase with no loss Fei store. The small economic snowball was rolled all the way by Lin Yuan, and there was even more snow on it. It was a bountiful harvest. At that moment, Chimey and Genius were nestled in Lin Yuan's embrace. With the infusion of Lin Yuan's spirit chi, it had already reached Elite X/Epic. When Lin Yuan used his spirit chi to break through Genius and Chimey's limits, both of them evolved to bronze grade at the same time. Genius's body emitted the sound of its bones reassembling. It seemed to be enduring extreme pain as it meowed. Evolving to bronze grade was a transformation for any Fey, and it was naturally the same for Genius. However, as a 100 questions beast, Genius was much weaker than ordinary evolved normal Feys. Therefore, the evolution this time was even more thorough. In just a few short minutes, Genius's fur started to wither and fall off, and new fur started to grow. When Genius evolved to elite grade, it had already grown to the size of an adult domestic cat. However, when Genius evolved to bronze grade, it had shrunk by more than half. It had become the size of Genius before it evolved to normal grade. Genius's fur kept on transforming, and after a period of time, it finally stopped. Genius's fur had already turned completely white. The white fur wasn't as white as snow, but it had a lustrous luster like suet jade. Genius opened its eyes, and when Lin Yuan saw Genius's amber-like eyes, he felt that they were ridiculously lively. When Genius woke up, it looked at its transformation and happily licked its paws. All of a sudden, Genius looked at its tail and let out a frightened meow. Lin Yuan looked over and noticed that Genius's tail had turned from 1 to 3. Lin Yuan used true data to check on Genius attributes and noticed that its name had changed from 100 questions beast to 1000 questions beast. Genius looked at its 3 tails and was at a loss of what to do. When it used its paws to grab, it realized that its tail would sway back and forth, causing Genius's quick-witted eyes to light up. At that moment, since Genius had evolved from epic to bronze grade, its 3 exclusive skills had appeared, and Lin Yuan had to choose from them. Lin Yuan carried Genius and noticed that its fur was ridiculously delicate and soft. When Genius felt that it had shrunk, it scuttled onto Lin Yuan's shoulder and squatted at its favorite spot. Lin Yuan looked at Genius's 3 exclusive skills and pondered. Dust avoidance. Wherever it passes, dust will be repelled, and the environment will be spotless. Tool transformation. Can transform into a tool for the contractor to use. Amplified pain. After attacking the target will feel pain that will be multiplied through the determination of spiritual energy. These 3 exclusive skills made Lin Yuan frown. Dust avoidance's exclusive skill was a little like an intelligent vacuum cleaner, and it was very suitable for housekeeping beasts. At the same time, if dust avoidance was used appropriately, it would have a restraining effect on spirit beasts that use sand abilities. Chapter 50. It was the same for the Amplified Pain exclusive skill. Amplified Pain was considered a top-notch combat-type exclusive skill, and it had terrifying lethality in combat. But to Genius, it was of little value. As Genius continued to evolve, its physical body would have a certain degree of damage, but it was obviously unrealistic for it to harm Feys of the same grade. In the end, Genius was just a house-type Fey, or an administration-type Fey. Lin Yuan was having a headache about the tool transformation characteristic. This was because tool transformation was a trait that people loved and hated at the same time. Only a gambling addict would like to use tool transformation for fun. Based on the phase type, the tool transformation would have a certain tendency. However, this didn't reduce the uncertainty of tool transformation. Some burly men chose the tool transformation exclusive skill for the Fey, and the Fey immediately transformed into a colorful small fan. The scene was too beautiful, and no one could bear to look. Some delicate little girls' fays had awakened tool transformation, and their fays had transformed into large hammers. The young lady was so angry that she was wiping her tears and couldn't even make a sound. It was fine if the tool transformation turned into a weapon, but if it turned into a defensive equipment, it would be miserable. Spirit chi clothing might be expensive, but it could still be bought. If a fey turned into a defensive equipment, it was the same as losing a reliable helper in combat. However, if the exclusive skill wasn't activated, the fey would have one less exclusive skill compared to other feys. In fact, there were successful examples of tool transformation, and there were quite a number of successful cases. It was related to their fey, and there was only one chance. Who would dare to try it rashly? It was fine if others didn't have a choice when evolving a perfect grade fey, but now that Lin Yuan had 3 choices, he didn't dare to take the risk. However, the other 2 exclusive skills were of little value to genius, and it was better than nothing. Finally, Lin Yuan hardened his heart and decided to take the risk. If he took the risk, there was a possibility that the motorcycle would turn into a sports car. If he failed, the motorcycle would just turn into a bicycle. As compared to the other 2 exclusive skills, there wasn't much difference. After Lin Yuan chose tool transformation, Genius let out a meow, and its body emitted light as it transformed. Subsequently, it turned into a pair of retro white-framed glasses. The glasses had amber decorations, and it looked just like Genius glasses. Fays with tool transformation's exclusive skill would have a certain bonus to the contractor. After Lin Yuan put on the glasses, he realized that there was a pile of knowledge in his mind that he didn't understand before. Most of this knowledge came from elementary scholars, fey observers, and spiritual ingredient analysts. Lin Yuan immediately realized that when he wore Genius tool-transformed glasses, he could actually share Genius knowledge. When Lin Yuan picked up the glasses, he realized that they had a second form. Turning the switch behind the ear, the glasses directly turned into a white mask with amber patterns. Lin Yuan felt that it was rather novel. After 2 transformations, Genius returned to its original appearance. When Genius evolved from the 100 questions beast to the 1000 questions beast, Lin Yuan didn't expect it to change so thoroughly. If Genius could not turn into a pair of glasses with tool transformation, it would be rather difficult for Lin Yuan to bring Genius in for the lifestyle class occupation test. Lin Yuan nodded when he saw Genius evolving to bronze grade. Fey name: 1000 questions beast spirit species, civet/intelligent cat fey grade. Bronze 1/10, fey type, spiritual fey quality, normal abilities frowny face precise memory. When memorizing something, it is able to remember every detail accurately. Knowledge analysis can conduct a multifaceted preliminary analysis of the memorized knowledge. Exclusive skill frowny face tool transformation can turn into a tool for the contractor to use. After Genius evolved, Chimey also completed its evolution. The azure blue feathers on Chimey's body had a more layered feeling, just like the bright mottled blue in the clear sky. There wasn't any obvious change in its body shape, but it was much more exquisite than before. The inconspicuous cloud patterns on the feathers were now exceptionally clear. The cloud patterns were clear and had a faint metallic luster, just like the blue color of cloisonne. Chimey's name was no longer Sound Bird, but Flowing Cloud Azure Bird. Lin Yuan was very decisive in choosing Chimey's exclusive skill. Oily feather. The feathers secrete oil that can effectively resist damage. Clear sky. After the chirping of the birds, the clouds dispersed, and the sky became clear. Wind borrowing. When flying, it can reduce stamina consumption and effectively make use of the airflow. Lin Yuan didn't hesitate and immediately chose Clear Sky. Clear Sky was an exclusive skill that Lin Yuan had never heard of before. The Clear Sky ability was a little like the ability to avoid water, but it could change the weather. Most importantly, after the clear sky, it would be facing the sun. In the future, Chimey would be able to make use of the exclusive skill Clear Sky to comprehend the blazing intent of the sun. It would allow Chimey to use this as an opportunity to advance toward a higher bloodline. Lin Yuan checked on Chimey's true data frowny face fey name. Flowing Cloud Azure Bird fey species. Bluefinch species / Azure Bird species fey grade. Bronze, 1 out of 10. Fey type, sound/chi Fey quality. Normal abilities: frowny face, sound thrust. Shoot 3 sharp thorns formed by sound at a designated target. Turbulence. Flap the wings to emit a continuous rapid and irregular airflow. Exclusive skill: frowny face, clear sky. After the chirping of the birds, the clouds dispersed, and the sky became clear. With true data, Chimy's basic abilities had a certain improvement. It could already hold its own as a combat class Fey. When Chimy and Genius evolved to bronze grade, they had undergone a spirituality mutation. Their size didn't increase, but they were even more exquisite. Due to Lin Yuan's evolution, the Jasmine Lily had evolved from Elite X/Epic to bronze grade. Among the 3 exclusive skills, Lin Yuan had considered them repeatedly. Finally, he chose the Recovery Imprint. After choosing the Recovery Imprint, an imprint that was similar to the Jasmine Lily's flower appeared on Lin Yuan's forehead. Lin Yuan could feel that this imprint was constantly storing the healing energy released by the Jasmine Lily. This imprint was like a lock that locked the healing energy that the Jasmine Lily emitted every second into the imprint. When Lin Yuan opened the lock, the Jasmine Lily's accumulated healing energy would immediately be released. The Jasmine Lily's basic ability, Heal, had also changed at bronze grade. Heal was no longer a single target healing ability. Instead, it could simultaneously heal multiple targets based on the contractor's spirit chi and instructions. It would heal until the contractor's spiritual power was exhausted. This ability change was also one of the main reasons why Lin Yuan chose the Recovery Imprint. When the Recovery Imprint's stored healing energy was released, it didn't need to consume Lin Yuan's spiritual power. As for the Spirit Siphon Goldfish, it had already reached Elite 7/Epic. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish's evolution speed had already made Lin Yuan speechless. Moreover, Lin Yuan still needed the gold-grade dragon blood to stimulate the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's ancestral bloodline, so he wasn't in a hurry. Lin Yuan's current strength had a qualitative leap. Red Thorn was still digesting the alien insect corpses and evolving toward elite grade. Lin Yuan believed that it wouldn't take long for Red Thorn to evolve into elite grade or bronze grade with the massive amount of resources. By then, Lin Yuan's combat ability would increase by a huge margin. Lin Yuan was in a hurry to increase his strength, mainly because he wanted to climb the Star Tower on Star Web. Chapter 51. The most bustling place on the Star Web would always be the Star Tower. When Lin Yuan was near the Star Tower, he could feel how flourishing the Star Web was as the Radiance Federation's second world. When Lin Yuan arrived at the entrance of the Star Tower, he couldn't help but lament at what he had seen and heard along the way. The Fays he had seen along the way were all virtual data copied into the Star Web. However, the pressure that came from the high-grade Fays aura couldn't be faked. In order to climb the Star Tower, one had to register. Of course, such registration wasn't required every time one climbed the tower. Only those who were climbing the tower for the first time would need to register. The main purpose of registering on the Star Web was to record the Spirit Chi professional's grade and the strength of the contracted phase. The information would then be used to generate data, and when climbing the tower, the data would be used to generate a virtual projection. In the real world, it was very difficult for Spirit Chi professionals to wantonly fight. If they wantonly fought, one side might get injured, or even both sides might suffer. When high-ranked Spirit Chi professionals fought with all their might, they might not be able to control the phase and cause injuries. The Star Web just happened to make up for this. The Star Web's duel was like a complete copy of the Spirit Chi professionals and phase information. The pain and touch during the duel were no different from the real world. However, even if they were killed in the Star Web duel, the Spirit Chi professionals and phase wouldn't suffer any injuries or deaths in the real world. The Star Tower's existence might be able to bring glory to those who climbed to the higher floors. However, it was more of a training for the Spirit Chi professionals and phase cooperation, as well as the grasp of combat techniques. The dual rule for the first 100 floors was to randomly match challengers on the same floor. The winner would ascend to the next floor, and the loser would descend to the next floor. When climbing to the 100th floor, there would be a celestial stairway trial, which was also known as the promotion duel. The promotion duel would randomly match 3 challengers, who were also participating in the promotion duel. Only after 3 consecutive victories would one be able to step onto the celestial stairway. If one lost, there would be no hope of ascending to the celestial stairway. If 2 lost, not only would one not be able to maintain the 100th floor, but they would also drop to the 99th floor. If 3 lost, they would drop to the 98th floor. If they wanted to climb up to the promotion duel, they would have to fight to the 100th floor again. The rules of climbing the tower were very simple, but during the process of climbing the tower, there was a possibility of being matched with spirit chi professionals, who were unlucky and had lower floors, but were actually very strong. Such a person was known as the Star Tower's goalkeeper. Everyone who climbs the Star Tower yearns to ascend the heavenly stairway, because only those who can ascend the heavenly stairway can be called a powerhouse of the Star Tower. Such experts were known as the Sanctuary Division. Since it was Lin Yuan's first time participating in the Star Tower climb, he could only obediently register his identity. The Star Tower's identity registration was different from the others. The Star Tower's identity registration information was completely bound to the Star Web card. In other words, every Radiance Federation citizen could only use their real identity to participate in the Star Web Tower climb. There were plenty of unions in the Radiance Federation that would use large amounts of resources and high salaries to sign up spirit chi professionals. All the major guilds had formed teams to participate in some large-scale competitions. Those duelists with high potential in the upper echelons of the Star Web would become the main recruitment targets of these guilds. After entering the Star Tower's newcomer registration room, Lin Yuan saw that it was very quiet. There was only a young man who was flipping through a book related to phase. When he saw Lin Yuan enter, the young man kept the book and said to Lin Yuan, "Newcomer, hurry up and fill up the form. After filling up the form, I will bring you to enter the information." After speaking, the young man swiftly placed the form on the table for Lin Yuan. Afterward, he looked at Genius and Chimey on Lin Yuan's shoulders with great interest. He then looked at Genius and Chimey on Lin Yuan's shoulders with interest and said, "These 2 fays of yours look rather good. I didn't expect for there to be low-grade fays that I can't recognize. I didn't expect there to be a low-grade spirit beast that I can't recognize." Genius had evolved from the 100 Questions beast. Chimey had evolved from the sound bird. Chimey had evolved from the sound bird. Right now, one of the 2 little fellows was already a bronze 1000 Questions beast, and the other was already a bronze flowing cloud azure bird. No one had ever evolved the 100 Questions beast or the sound bird to bronze grade. Therefore, these 2 fays were unique in this world, and no one would recognize them. Lin Yuan swiftly submitted his written personal information. The young man took a look and didn't see any problems. He then stood up and walked in front of Lin Yuan before saying, "Follow me. It might be a little troublesome to enter the information for the first time, but after entering the information for the first time, you will have a registration on the Star Web. It doesn't matter if you have an increase in your occupation grade, a new Fey, or an increase in the grade of the original Fey. You will be able to enter the information in the Star Web system." After the young man reminded Lin Yuan about the things to take note of and completed his job, he took out the book again. While walking, he was flipping through the pages carefully as though he was memorizing something. Lin Yuan took a look at the book's title and saw that it was related to the Junior Fey Observer exam. He then said, "Looking at this book, are you going to participate in the Junior Fey Observer exam?" The young man was startled as he didn't expect Lin Yuan, who looked young, to actually know the Junior Fey Observer exam's scope. He looked at Lin Yuan with an astonished expression and said, "That's right. I am going to take the Junior Fey Observer exam and prepare to participate in the Creation Master exam next month." When speaking, the young man had an extremely proud expression, and his tone was filled with confidence and flaunting. After Lin Yuan completed the information entry under the young man's guidance, he left. To this young man, what he needed the most right now was to learn about the Fey Observer, so Lin Yuan didn't continue to disturb him. Anyone who had the talent to take the Creation Master exam would be like a carp leaping through the dragon gate after passing the Creation Master exam. Even a Class 1 Creation Master would be revered and sought after no matter where they were. Lin Yuan had already entered Morbius, Genius, and Chinese information. As for Red Thorn, it was currently a normal Fae and wasn't qualified to participate in the Star Web's battles. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't enter Red Thorn's information. After entering the Star Tower's information, an identity card with Lin Yuan's registration information was generated. Name: Lin Yuan. Gender: male. Height: 178 cm. Weight: 61 kg. Star Tower floor: 0 spirit chi. Occupation: healing type. Professional. Occupation rank: decontracted Fae, Morbius, Elite 7/Epic, 1000 Questions Beast, Bronze 1/Normal, Flowing Cloud Azure Bird, Bronze 1/Normal. Duel record: 0 duels, 0 wins, 0 losses. Highest floor: 0. While looking at his current identity card, Lin Yuan chose to hide all the other information apart from the spirit chi occupation that couldn't be hidden. As the Radiance Federation's second world, the Star Web's protection of privacy was even stronger than the real world. Now that his information was completely entered, Lin Yuan chose to enter the Star Tower's interior. Lin Yuan hadn't participated in the tower's battles yet, and was just one of the countless people at the bottom of the Star Tower. After choosing the match, Lin Yuan was quickly matched with a duelist who was also at the bottom of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan was rather astonished when he saw the other party's information. The other party had actually fought 471 duels, and had reached the Star Tower's 3rd floor at the highest. Lin Yuan was afraid that the other party had already fought 471 duels, and had reached the Star Tower's 3rd floor. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be at the bottom of the Star Tower. There was no way to hide the duel record. Before the Star Tower duel, both parties would be able to see each other's duels. The old man in front of him was probably in his 80s, and half of his hair was already white. However, when he saw Lin Yuan's duel record, he laughed heartily and said, "This old man actually met a newcomer. This old man actually let this old man meet a newcomer. After I win this duel and climb to the 1st floor, I won't take the initiative to climb the tower anymore. This way, I can stay at the 1st floor for at least a month, and I can show off to old Lu next door for at least a month." The Star Tower was a trial that every spirit chi professional in the Radiance Federation had to participate in. In order to prevent spirit chi professionals from climbing to a certain floor due to luck, they would no longer participate in the Star Web duels in order to maintain their floor count. The Star Web's rules had a mandatory countermeasure. All duelists who climbed the tower would have to participate in a duel at least once a month. It was because of such rules that some lucky people wouldn't be able to maintain a floor count that didn't match their standards. Lin Yuan saw the old man summoning a normal gray beetle, and it was trembling as it rushed at him. Lin Yuan didn't know what to do for a moment. He originally wanted to greet the old man, but he didn't even have the chance to do so. Lin Yuan didn't even ask Chimey to release its ability. Instead, he asked Genius to rush forward and swing its 3 tails to knock the gray beetle to the ground. This old man obviously only had one contracted Fae, and he immediately lost the duel. After losing the duel, the old man looked at Lin Yuan and couldn't hold back his anger. He immediately laid on the ground and wailed, "Aya, my old waist. Youngsters nowadays are really heavy-handed." Lin Yuan looked at the old man, who suddenly had a dramatic change in expression, and he awkwardly rubbed the back of his head. This old man should really participate in the drama queen's birth. When he saw the old man acting without any end, Lin Yuan said, "Uncle, this is the Star Web." "Sir, this is the Star Web. It'll be fine even if you sprain your back." When the old man heard that, he immediately jumped up and rolled his eyes at Lin Yuan. "Today's duel is considered your win. Back then, I was an expert that could take a crow on a plane and destroy a parking lot with a tornado. I'm not going to say any more. This old man is going to go home and eat the Xiong family's recipe." Lin Yuan's current battle record in the Star Tower showed that he was currently at the 1st floor of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan felt that this duel at the 1st floor was surprisingly easy, but this old man's amazing maneuvering was truly outstanding. In a spurt of energy, Lin Yuan continued to duel and quickly reached the 9th floor. When Lin Yuan reached the 9th floor, he finally encountered an opponent that was using an elite Fey. The duel had just started, but the two elite Feys, the yellow-spotted dog and the tusk-digging boar, were defeated by Chimy's sound thrust. Lin Yuan continued to climb the tower, and when he reached the 22nd floor, he finally encountered an opponent that was also using a bronze Fey. Chapter 52. When Lin Yuan saw his opponent, he couldn't help but take a deep cold breath. After looking at the opponent's information, Lin Yuan realized that the opponent was a 27-year-old power offense-class spirit chi professional called Huang Qinglin. In his personal information, the 3 bronze Feys, Poison Fire Python, River Python, and Acid Mist Python, were displayed without concealment. Lin Yuan was rather surprised by such honesty, but he didn't appreciate it. In a duel, it was a trump card to prevent the opponent from understanding the contracted phase. Rather than saying that he was exceptionally confident in himself, it would be better to say that he was too carefree and careless. There were some obvious restraints between Feys. It was rare for there to be a comeback in a duel between Feys that restrained each other. However, Huang Qinglin, who was on the 22nd floor, could indeed be considered an expert. He had the capital to be conceited. Just by looking at Huang Qinglin's record of reaching the 37th floor, it was obvious that Huang Qinglin was unlucky to reach the 22nd floor. Otherwise, even if he revealed all his phase information and lost the initiative, he wouldn't have been beaten to the 22nd floor. While Lin Yuan was looking at Huang Qinglin's information, Huang Qinglin was also looking at Lin Yuan's information. Before Lin Yuan could speak, Huang Qinglin spoke first. Yo, from your record, you seem to be a newcomer. But why are you climbing the Star Tower when your Feys are at bronze grade? Don't tell me you are an unregistered person, hiding your head and showing your tail, hiding all your information. But since you are a healing-type professional, I will let you prepare first before coming to die. While speaking, Huang Qinglin was very relaxed and shook his shoulders. The contractor's mental state could also affect the Fey's mental state. While Huang Qinglin was completely relaxed and nonchalant, the 3 bronze python species Feys didn't assume an attacking posture like before. Instead, they circled around Huang Qinglin and prostrated, waiting for his orders. Lin Yuan didn't reply. As for Huang Qinglin's 3 bronze python species Feys, Lin Yuan only had some understanding of the poison fire python. As for the river python and the acid mist python, Lin Yuan didn't have any understanding. As such, Lin Yuan ordered Genius to undergo tool transformation. Genius, who had transformed into a tool, immediately turned into a pair of glasses. Lin Yuan turned Genius into a pair of glasses and wore them on the bridge of his nose. When he looked at the poison fire python, acid mist python, and river water python, he immediately had a comprehensive understanding of these 3 python species Feys. This understanding was different from the information obtained by using Morbius True Data. True Data was about the Fey's grade, quality, abilities, and exclusive skills. On the other hand, the knowledge that came with intelligence allowed Lin Yuan to understand this species' movement patterns, attack habits, and other knowledge that required accumulated experience. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that after wearing the glasses that Genius had transformed into, he seemed to be able to see the weak points of the enemy Fey's defense. This weakness was that when observing the opponent's movements, they could easily calculate the defensive blind spots. If he attacked in that direction, the opponent would not be able to effectively defend himself. It was the same as when someone stretched out their hand to push forward. They would not be able to defend against the attack on their ribs. This discovery made Lin Yuan rather excited. When Huang Qinglin saw that Lin Yuan didn't reply or take any action, he said with some displeasure, "You're right. Hey, that unregistered immigrant, what are you putting on an act for? The only cat that looks like it has some offensive power has actually been transformed into a pair of glasses by tool transformation. What can that little bird of yours do? You are a healing-type professional. Don't tell me that little bird is going to make birds nest on the battlefield and give it to others to recover HP?" Chimey might not be able to speak after evolving to bronze grade, but it could understand Huang Qinglin's words. Chimey was so angry that it was bouncing on Lin Yuan's shoulder, and chirping as though it was quarreling with Huang Qinglin. At that moment Lin Yuan said, "I am ready. I'm ready, we can begin." Lin Yuan commanded Chimey to charge at the poison fire python the moment he finished his statement. When the poison fire python saw Chimey charging over, it immediately spat out a bundle of poisonous flames. Lin Yuan immediately used the Jasmine Lily's heal ability and released it at Chimey. Chimey carried a stream of air and rushed into the flames with a swoosh. The powerful stream of air effectively helped Chimey resist the poisonous flames. Before the flames could burn Chimey followed Lin Yuan's command and released turbulence. Turbulence would first form around Chimey because it was at the center of the poisonous flames. When turbulence was used, the poison fire python's poisonous flames would be dispersed by the turbulence. It just so happened that the acid mist python was spitting out its acid mist at Chimey. When the acid mist python's acid mist encountered the poisonous flames that were blown over by the turbulence, it immediately exploded. The poison fire python's poisonous flames weren't considered powerful, but the wind increased the intensity of the flames. When blown by the turbulence, the poisonous flames were at least 2 times bigger than before. When the poisonous flames encountered the acid mist, they exploded and spread along the acid mist. The raging poisonous flames were poured into the acid mist python's mouth. The acid mist python immediately twitched and rolled on the ground. It was obvious that it no longer had the ability to fight. When a Fey reached bronze grade, it would need to pay attention to strategy and combat, apart from the Fey's own strength. Huang Qinglin didn't expect his side to have such a bad start. The chaos during the battle had actually allowed his Fey to injure its own Fey. When looking at the twitching acid mist python on the ground, Huang Qinglin yelled at the poison fire python with a reproachful tone. "Poison fire python, spit the poisonous flames at that stupid bird again." However, before Huang Qinglin's command, Chimey had already let out a clear cry. Just as the poison fire python was about to open its mouth and spit the poisonous flames, 3 invisible sound thrusts had already nailed into the poison fire python's mouth. A single sound thrust might not be able to make the poison fire python lose its combat ability, but it would severely injure the poison fire python's mouth. But when the 3 sound thrusts struck on the top of the poison fire python's mouth, the poison fire python's fragile oral cavity was directly pierced by the sonic spike, leaving a small wound on the python's head. Such an injury immediately caused the poison fire python to lose its combat ability. At this moment, Chimey's spirit chi had already been depleted by more than half. He quickly used the spirit siphon goldfish's spirit injection to help Chimey recover a portion of its lost spiritual power. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Huang Qinglin suddenly realized that out of the 3 python species phase, only the river python was still able to fight. The heaven whose opening had resulted in the loss of 2 major combat strength due to his improper command. Huang Qinglin gritted his teeth and yelled at Lin Yuan, "If you have the capability, come and fight me head-on. Trickery is just the behavior of a coward." Lin Yuan looked at Huang Qinglin as though he was looking at a deity. "Do you want a healing-type professional like me to compete with a power offense-type professional like you to see whose attack is stronger? Victory is the deciding factor in a battle. This isn't a game, and it isn't a competition of strength." Huang Qinglin suddenly let out a treacherous smile when Lin Yuan was speaking. "You fell for it." A water pillar suddenly shot out from the ground and rapidly crashed at Chimey. It was obvious that Huang Qinglin had already arranged for the river python to launch a sneak attack on Chimey when he was speaking. When Huang Qinglin saw that the sneak attack was successful, he shouted at Lin Yuan, "This isn't a game. Therefore you should also understand what it means to be deceitful in war." Before Huang Qinglin could finish speaking, Lin Yuan snorted lightly. "Clear the skies." Following Lin Yuan's order, the cloud patterns on Chimey's azure blue feather suddenly lit up. Chimey's cloud patterns emitted a ball of gentle light. The light was originally very gentle, but when it came into contact with the water column, it became scorching hot. A massive water column was instantly evaporated by Chimey's exclusive skill Clear Sky. Rather than saying that the huge water column had completely evaporated, Lin Yuan felt that the water column had disappeared into the air when it came into contact with the light that had cleared up. Huang Qinglin was originally laughing maniacally, but this unexpected scene caused Huang Qinglin's mouth to open wide. It was as if he couldn't understand what was happening before his eyes. While Huang Qinglin was still in a daze, Chimy's turbulence had already taken control of the river water python. Chimy let out another clear cry, and the sound thrust ruthlessly nailed into the river water python's eye. Lin Yuan had naturally won this duel. Chimy's victory wasn't entirely due to its strength. A large part of the reason was that Lin Yuan had pointed out the weak points of the three python species phase based on the glasses that Genius had transformed into. Lin Yuan had gained a lot from this duel. At the same time, it was also the first time that Lin Yuan was in a disadvantageous position in a duel. Ignoring the defeated Huang Qinglin, Lin Yuan logged out of the star web after completing this duel and ascending to the 23rd floor. This duel had allowed Lin Yuan to find his shortcomings. He still had too few offensive means. If he were to encounter an opponent like Huang Qinglin with just Chimy, it would be very difficult to arrange a reasonable strategy to obtain victory if he didn't know the phase that the opponent possessed. After all, not all opponents would be as arrogant as Huang Qinglin and completely display all of their phase. If Lin Yuan wanted to quickly increase his offensive means, he could only do his best to nurture Red Thorn. It seemed like it wasn't enough to just feed Red Thorn the low-grade alien insect corpses. I have to think of a way to find some high-grade flesh to help Red Thorn rapidly evolve. For the past few days, Lin Yuan had spent 240 Radiance dollars in advance to purchase 3 drops of gold-grade dragon beast blood from Zhou Jiesin. He was preparing to upgrade the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to bronze grade. This way, Morbius grade would also be upgraded to bronze grade, and it would obtain a new exclusive skill. Lin Yuan arrived at the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone and looked at the massive and gorgeous Dragon Eye Spirit Siphon Goldfish in the Spirit Pool. He immediately took out a small water jar. He scooped out half of the Spirit Pool's water and placed the Spirit Siphon Goldfish inside. Lin Yuan upgraded the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to Elite X/Epic. Chapter 53. The 3 drops of gold-grade dragon blood were in Lin Yuan's hand. Lin Yuan felt that these 3 drops of dragon beast blood were like flowing mercury. Not only was it dense, but it also had a special luster that normal blood didn't have. Normally, blood that was placed in a sealed bottle would stain the walls of the bottle. However, this gold-grade dragon blood wouldn't stain the walls at all. When it was pouring, Lin Yuan could even feel the oppressive aura from the dragon blood. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish was already at the juncture of evolution. When Lin Yuan circulated his spirit chi to break through that obstruction, the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's body was undergoing a drastic change. When the 3 drops of gold-grade dragon blood entered the water, they didn't immediately fuse with the water. Instead, they were attracted by the faint dragon bloodline in the evolving Spirit Siphon Goldfish. These 3 drops of advanced dragon blood entered the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's body, which was constantly transforming. The instant the dragon blood entered its body, the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's transformation became even more intense. All of a sudden, the Spirit Siphon Goldfish seemed to have gone crazy and was violently smashing the water tank's walls. With each collision, a lot of blood would seep out from its scales and fuse into the water tank. When Lin Yuan saw the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's madness, he could feel the pain it was suffering. After repeated collisions, even the fish scales were smashed and fell from its body. Lin Yuan might be feeling heartache for the Spirit Siphon Goldfish, but he knew that this was a necessary process for the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to awaken its dragon species bloodline. The most precious part of a dragon species Fey was its blood. The concentration of dragon species blood in the body would also reflect the preciousness of a dragon species Fey. The 3 drops of gold-grade dragon blood had activated the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's thin dragon bloodline. He was undergoing a full-body blood exchange. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish struggled in the water tank for 3 hours. Lin Yuan stared at it for 3 hours. The scales on the Dragon Eye Spirit Siphon Goldfish's body were already like broken decorations hanging on its body. The scales were so broken that they didn't have any defense. The blood that flowed out of the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's body didn't dissolve in the water anymore, and formed a thin layer of protection on the surface of the spirit siphon goldfish's body. Lin Yuan knew that the spirit siphon goldfish's thin dragon species bloodline had been completely stimulated, and the blood exchange had been completed. Although the dragon eye spirit siphon goldfish's dragon species bloodline was still very weak, it was still a true dragon species Fei. Lin Yuan circulated the spirit qi in his body, and guided the spirit qi in the spirit siphon goldfish, which had awakened its bloodline. The evolution speed of the spirit siphon goldfish instantly sped up, and a layer of black scale armor gradually grew on its body. The scales that the spirit siphon goldfish had grown were completely different from the previous scales. The scales were as black as ink, and had a pearl-like luster. The inner layer of each scale armor was surrounded by a faint layer of dark golden substance. The previously tattered fishtail instantly grew back, and only stopped when it was as long as its body. The huge black fishtail was like a layered skirt. The most iconic eye of the dragon eye spirit siphon goldfish had almost completely shrunk during this evolution. However, there were two inconspicuous bulges above the fish's eyes. Lin Yuan took a deep breath. The dragon eye spirit siphon goldfish had evolved into a dragon species Fei when it was still at bronze. After evolving into a dragon species Fei, the spirit siphon goldfish would have a higher starting point on the path of evolution. This higher starting point would bring about endless possibilities. At that moment, under true data, the spirit siphon goldfish was no longer called the spirit siphon goldfish, but the spirit gather goldfish. Attracting spirit qi was just a small trick, and gathering spirit qi was considered an auspicious blessing. Lin Yuan could feel that the spirit gather goldfish's body was releasing dense spirit qi. After some calculations, the bronze spirit siphon goldfish's daily release of spirit qi was equivalent to 500 caddies of inferior energy ores. Of course, the spirit gather goldfish was releasing so much spirit qi because it had awakened the thin dragon species bloodline in its body. Otherwise, even if it evolved to bronze, it wouldn't be able to release so much spirit qi in a day. The spirit siphon goldfish had evolved from epic to bronze, and Lin Yuan was already choosing its exclusive skill. Spirit qi flare. Increase the speed at which spirit qi is released. Spirit qi absorption. Increase the speed at which spirit qi is absorbed, thus increasing the quality and grade. Spirit qi imprint. The spirit qi that is released will not be released into the environment, but will be stored in the spirit qi imprint. The spirit qi imprint will be branded on the contractor's body, and the contractor can take the initiative to release the spirit qi stored in the spirit qi imprint. These three exclusive skills were very outstanding for the spirit gather goldfish. The spirit qi flare allowed the spirit gather goldfish to become a spirit qi fountain with added power. The spirit qi absorption would increase the spirit siphon goldfish's evolution speed. It could offset some of the spirit siphon goldfish's flaws in evolution. If it was in the outside world, 8 out of 10 people would not consider anything else, and would directly choose to absorb spiritual qi after seeing the spiritual qi absorption characteristic. However, it might be very difficult for others to evolve the spirit gather goldfish, but it wasn't considered a problem for Lin Yuan. It was just that it would take more time and energy. Therefore, Lin Yuan chose the third exclusive skill, Spirit Qi Imprint. The Spirit Qi Imprint was already outstanding. However, to Lin Yuan, the Spirit Qi Imprint's advantage was that when the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's grade increased, it could enhance the Spirit Qi Imprint's strength. The Spirit Gather Goldfish's Spirit Qi Imprint was similar to the Jasmine Lily's Recovery Imprint. However, the Jasmine Lily's Recovery Imprint was to accumulate healing energy. The Spirit Gather Goldfish's Spirit Qi Imprint was to accumulate the Spirit Qi that the Spirit Gather Goldfish normally released. If the Spirit Qi Imprint was used well, it was the same as not having to worry about the amount of Spirit Qi in the body for a period of time, allowing the Fae to release abilities at will. In Lin Yuan's opinion, this could even be considered a life-saving measure. After the Spirit Siphon Goldfish evolved to Bronze Grade, Morbius also successfully evolved to Bronze Grade. After evolving to Bronze Grade, Morbius' consciousness had awakened. Morbius' Bronze Grade exclusive skill, Pure Land of Bliss, had also appeared. Pure land of bliss. The spirit lock spatial zone produces soil that can heal near-death phase injuries. The phase recovery time is determined by Morbius grade and the near-death phase grade. Chapter 54. Lin Yuan. After this promotion, I'll sleep for a period of time to completely recover from the internal injuries my spiritual energy suffered when forming the contract. The number of spirit chi professionals contracted phase was determined by their spiritual energy. Every time he contracted a phase, it was the same as dividing a portion of his spiritual energy. This was also why many people had different numbers of contracted phase. He was only 8 years old when he signed the contract with Morbius, and his mental strength was weak. In order to protect itself, Morbius had forcefully compressed its spiritual power, causing Morbius' origin to be damaged. How long do I need to recover? Do you need me to buy some spirit materials to help you recover? Lin Yuan asked in a calm and concerned tone, as though they were old friends, companions, or family. There is no need for spiritual ingredients. I don't know how long I will be able to wake up from this slumber. I didn't expect that you would be able to evolve me to bronze grade in such a short time. Let's go. Before going back to slumber, I will bring you to take a look at the changes in the spirit lock spatial zone. I will also introduce you to the pure land of bliss. He entered the spirit lock spatial zone and realized that it was twice as large as before. Currently, the spirit lock spatial zone was about the same size as the store that he had opened on the star web. Not only had the spirit pool doubled in size, but the density of the spirit chi in the spirit chain space had also increased significantly. It went from 5 times to more than 8 times. But the inferior energy ores at the bottom of the pool had all been broken down. From the looks of it, the 8 times spirit chi concentration wasn't the upper limit of the bronze spirit lock spatial zone. A cold voice sounded in his ears. The upper limit of the spiritual energy concentration here is 10 times that of the outside world. He had to explore everything in the spirit lock spatial zone by himself. Now that Morbius' willpower was awake, Lin Yuan only needed a thought, and Morbius would answer his question. The spirit chi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone increased from 5 times to 10 times. This was equivalent to greatly reducing the time needed for the spirit siphon goldfish to evolve from normal to elite. The enlargement of the spirit pool could nurture more spirit siphon goldfish in one go. This allowed him to earn radiance dollars even faster. On average, he could cultivate a batch in 3 days. According to the current size of the spirit pool in the spirit lock spatial zone, it could nurture at least 100 at a time. Just by selling the spirit siphon goldfish for 3 days, he would be able to earn at least 800 radiance dollars. This didn't include the money that he could earn from evolving the bronze usnias. It was now very easy for him to earn radiance dollars. It was even possible that he would not accept any more custom-made elite phase after accepting the braised egg heads order. Lin Yuan had spent a lot of time and effort to customize an elite phase. If he were to evolve a bronze usnia, he would be able to earn even more radiance dollars. Lin Yuan might be earning more now, but he was spending more. The more he earned, the more he felt that he did not have enough money to spend. A phase evolution was like a boat going against the current, and it would be obstructed by many sides. It was unknown how much a rare spiritual ingredient was worth, so no matter how much radiance dollars were earned, it would never be more than what was spent. If the jasmine lily wanted to evolve from bronze to legend, the 2 mahogany tree cores were enough to stump him. Lin Yuan had already made some simple arrangements in the spirit lock spatial zone and placed some simple furniture. For example, a large workbench and a chair. At this moment, the bronze jasmine lily was placed on the workbench. The jasmine lily's evolution to the bronze rank had also resulted in significant changes. However, as compared to the spirit siphon goldfish that had been reborn, the changes were much smaller. The bronze jasmine lily had grown from a single plant to a colony, and the semi-woody plant's leaves and stems had vanished. Layers of jasmine lily's flowers were gathered together like jadeite. It made one feel as though their body and mind were being healed. Lin Yuan, look over there. That is the exclusive skill of the Bronze Awakening, pure land of bliss. Lin Yuan looked over, and saw that there was a space that was around 20 square meters in the center of the spirit lock spatial zone. This space was enclosed by a crimson fence, and inside the fence was sparkling and translucent soil that was as fine as jade. Lin Yuan walked over and grabbed the soil on the ground. He felt that the soil in his hand didn't have any edges and was extremely soft. Pure Land of Bliss can rapidly heal bronze phase and slowly heal silver phase. Gold phase that are on the verge of death can be placed on the Pure Land of Bliss. And as long as there is a constant supply of nutrients, they won't die. Morbius introduced the exclusive skill Pure Land of Bliss to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan didn't expect Morbius' exclusive skill to be so awesome. Only a Class 3 Creation Master would have the confidence to attempt to heal a gold Fae that was on the verge of death. Even a Class 3 Creation Master might not be able to save a gold Fae that was on the verge of death. It wasn't a problem for a Class 3 Creation Master to heal a severely injured gold Fae. However, near death and severe injuries were two different things. Faes that were on the verge of death would basically have their roots exhausted and vitality dried up. They would be relying on the gold Fae's sturdy physique to survive. Such Faes would normally be sold as fresh spiritual ingredients. Before Lin Yuan had the Pure Land of Bliss, he would only dare to hope to pick up a silver Fae. Now that he had the Pure Land of Bliss, he could guarantee that a gold Fae that was on the verge of death wouldn't die. Lin Yuan would be able to use his ability to slowly recover the injuries of a gold Fae that was on the verge of death in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, which had 10 times the spirit chi density. Whenever a gold Fae appeared, it would be auctioned in the Star Tower's rare lifeform pavilion. The Star Tower didn't have any stores that would directly sell gold Faes. Now, Lin Yuan had the capital to dip his fingers into a gold Fae. Morbius, this Pure Land of Bliss is truly useful. After hearing Lin Yuan's lament, Morbius chuckled and said, "That isn't all. You can use your body's spiritual power to summon a Pure Land of Bliss in the outside world, to heal Faes with damaged roots. The range of the Pure Land of Bliss is directly related to the amount of spiritual power you consume." Lin Yuan's eyes widened when he heard that he could actually use the Pure Land of Bliss as an ability in the outside world. It was the same as not exposing his ability to convert spirit chi. He could use the Pure Land of Bliss to heal Faes with damaged roots. Lin Yuan was a healing-type spirit chi professional. However, Lin Yuan had always had the heart to nurture the Jasmine Lily. However, Lin Yuan did not slack off for even a moment when it came to nurturing the Jasmine Lily. He had even chosen the Jasmine Lily as his first Fae to evolve into a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the recovery imprint, the spirit chi imprint, and the Pure Land of Bliss were a perfect match. The accumulated spirit chi was in the spirit chi imprint. And when he opened the spirit chi imprint, would there be a Pure Land of Bliss with no boundaries? After opening the recovery imprint, would I have the ability to heal the battlefield during the invasion of the dimensional rift? Of course, Lin Yuan knew that he was still very weak. Chapter 55. When Lin Yuan exited the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Morbius had already fallen into a deep slumber and was recovering its injured roots. At that moment, Morbius attributes were displayed in Lin Yuan's eyes under true data. Fae name, Morbius Fae species : Fae grade, Bronze 1/10, Fae type, Spatial/Mystic Fae quality, Normal abilities Frowny face true data. Convert all complicated information that the naked eye can't distinguish into data. The data might contain the truth that can't be distinguished on the surface. Calm mind, passive ability. The effect of calm mind can be enhanced according to the Fae's grade. Calm mind can calm the mind and has a certain chance to resist negative states. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spirit Lock. Morbius Spatial Zone can nurture Faes. The initial grade of the Fae that Morbius Spatial Zone nurtures cannot be higher than Morbius grade. Morbius is unable to level up, but its grade will increase along with the Fae it nurtures. At the same time, it can obtain the initial abilities of the Fae it nurtures. However, Morbius will not obtain abilities when it levels up. Every time Morbius increases a grade, it will be able to nurture one more Fae. At the same time, Morbius upgrade method will remain the same. Pure Land of Bliss. The Spirit Lock spatial zone produces soil that can be used to heal near-death phase injuries. The phase recovery time will be determined by Morbius grade and the dying phase grade. Normal Spirit Lock, Jasmine Lily, Bronze 1 out of 10 normal ability. Heal, rapidly recovers external injuries and slowly recovers vitality. Exclusive skill, Recovery Imprint. Stores the healing energy that the Jasmine Lily normally releases. The contractor can activate the imprint to release the stored healing energy. Elite Spirit Lock, Spirit Gather Goldfish, Bronze 1/10, normal ability. Spirit Injection, a one-time recovery of a certain amount of spiritual power. Afterward, it will slowly recover the lost spiritual power. Exclusive skill, Spirit Chi Imprint. The spirit chi that is released will not be released into the environment. Instead, it will be stored in the spirit chi imprint. The spirit chi imprint will be branded on the contractor's body, and the contractor can release the stored spirit chi in the spirit chi imprint. Lin Yuan scratched his head when he saw Morbius attributes. If he wanted to evolve Morbius to silver, he would have to use its Spirit Lock spatial zone to Spirit Lock a third Fae. Another batch of Spirit Siphon Goldfish was sold. He found that during this time, Red Thorn had been consuming alien insect corpses every minute and second, and had evolved to normal 9/flawless. These alien insect carcasses were worth no less than 100 Radiance dollars. However, Red Thorn still hadn't broken through to the elite rank. At that moment, Lin Yuan realized that it was actually so difficult to evolve phase without using his abilities. Red Thorn's evolution was Lin Yuan's top priority now. Lin Yuan had ranked it first. The source seed would evolve according to Lin Yuan's will. Lin Yuan had chosen the eating method for Red Thorn to evolve. Therefore, if it wanted to be strengthened during the evolution, it would have to be strengthened. All the strengthening methods included in it could only come from food. The flesh of high-grade phase or dimensional phase would be especially beneficial to Red Thorn's evolution. However, be it the flesh of high-grade phase or dimensional life forms, most of them were precious spiritual ingredients and food ingredients. It was unrealistic for him to purchase a large number of high-grade phase flesh. But now that Red Thorn was evolving, Lin Yuan could not be stingy. Lin Yuan logged onto the star web and contacted Zhou Jiesin, Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Big Sister Xian, I want another batch of normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish. This time, I want 10 dragon eyes. Lin Yuan was planning to nurture 10 normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish this time. He was planning to nurture these 10 Spirit Siphon Goldfish to bronze grade before selling them. The bronze Spirit Siphon Goldfish were already qualified to enter the Rare Life Form Pavilion. If Lin Yuan wanted to purchase the mahogany tree cores, he would have to rely on 10 bronze Spirit Siphon Goldfish. Of course, Lin Yuan wouldn't use the precious bronze Spirit Siphon Goldfish to exchange for Radiance dollars. Instead, he would hang them in the Rare Life Form Pavilion and use the barter method to exchange for the mahogany tree cores. The barter method might be primitive, but it was the most effective way to exchange for spiritual ingredients and phase. Zhou Jiesin. Alright, I will pick the best normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish for you. That's right. I have an elite pregnant female Spirit Siphon Goldfish. I wonder if you are interested? There were plenty of female Spirit Siphon Goldfish. However, it was extremely difficult for the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to conceive. The more precious the Fae, the harder it was to reproduce. This was a shackle that was given by nature, and it wasn't something that could be broken by humans. When Lin Yuan saw that Zhou Jiesin had a pregnant female Spirit Siphon Goldfish, his eyes lit up. The female Spirit Siphon Goldfish could produce up to 1,000 Spirit Siphon Goldfish at a time. It was extremely hard for the Spirit Siphon Goldfish eggs to survive, and the main reason was that there wasn't enough Spirit Chi for the eggs to absorb. However, in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone Spirit Pool, everything would no longer be a problem. The Spirit Pool's limit was 100 elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish at a time. However, the development of the eggs required a process, and Lin Yuan could raise the eggs in separate tanks. This way, he could save a huge amount of money to purchase the normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Big Sister Xian, I want the female Spirit Siphon Goldfish. I wonder how much it costs. Zhou Jiesin. This female spirit siphon goldfish might be a little expensive. It costs 80 radiance dollars. When Lin Yuan saw the message, he frowned. If it was at this price, Lin Yuan might as well purchase normal spirit siphon goldfish to nurture. An elite spirit siphon goldfish would only cost 8 radiance dollars, and it was a rather good species. A normal species would only cost 5 radiance dollars. This pregnant elite spirit siphon goldfish was selling for 80 radiance dollars, and it was truly a little expensive. Lin Yuan originally thought that 15 radiance dollars would be the limit. Zhou Jiesin. That's right. I forgot to mention that this pregnant female spirit siphon goldfish is a 5 fortune ranchu, so it is a little more expensive. The price that big sister Xian gives you will never let you suffer a loss. 5 fortune ranchu. No wonder the price is so high. The spirit chi awakening might have been 100 years ago, but the human instinct to love auspiciousness had never changed. The 5 fortune ranchu was a precious species of spirit siphon goldfish that was associated with auspiciousness. Its plump body was decorated with 5 colors, signifying the 5 blessings. Its function might not be any different from a regular spirit siphon goldfish, but the price was nearly 10 times different. An elite-ranked 5 fortune ranchu could not be found on the market at all. One could only purchase it from some creation masters that nurtured spirit siphon goldfish. Lin Yuan had been purchasing spiritual ingredients from Zhou Jiesin, mainly because she was very reliable in doing business. Chapter 56. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Big Sister Xian. Then I'll buy this female 5 fortune ranchu. Also, does Big Sister Xian have any high-grade spirit beast meat? Zhou Jiesin had investigated Lin Yuan when he had purchased the spirit siphon goldfish many times. It turned out that Lin Yuan's account, Deep Mountain Elder Lin, was also the owner of a Fei store. Zhou Jiesin watched for a while. He noticed that Lin Yuan's store was harvesting normal spirit siphon goldfish. Not long after, these normal spirit siphon goldfish became elite spirit siphon goldfish. This was a spirit siphon goldfish. Zhou Jiesin made a bold guess, but she was soon shocked by her own boldness. In 3 to 5 days, 100 spirit siphon goldfish evolved from normal to elite. This was at least a Class 3 creation master's means. Of course, there was also the possibility of a Class 2 creation master. However, for Class 2 creation masters to evolve the spirit siphon goldfish to such a scale, it would require at least 20 Class 2 creation masters. Zhou Jiesin couldn't understand why a creation master would want to enhance the spirit siphon goldfish. If he had the time to enhance the spirit siphon goldfish, wouldn't it be better to enhance a few silver fays? No matter how Zhou Jiesin guessed, there was one thing she was sure of. There must be a creation master behind Lin Yuan's store. And it might even be a Class 3 creation master. Class 3 creation masters might not even be available in Class 5 stores. Even if there were, they would be treated as VIPs. Zhou Jiesin had run the store for many years, and all the spirit materials she sold were of the best quality. After so many years of hard work, he had only reached the standard of a 3-star store. This was because Zhou Jiesin had been suppressing the price and increasing the quantity. Zhou Jiesin hadn't been able to upgrade her store to Class 4 because she didn't have the support of a creation master. If Zhou Jiesin had wanted to develop Lin Yuan into a loyal customer previously, then she now wanted to see if she could build a good relationship with Lin Yuan. He could use a high price to purchase some goods from Lin Yuan that would not circulate in the market. That way, his shop would become famous and be promoted to a level 4 shop. The shop's area would double, and he would be able to manage it better. It had always been Zhou Jiesin's obsession to manage the Star Web store well. It was a pity that he didn't have a creation master to back him up, making it very difficult for him to advance. It wasn't that Zhou Jiesin didn't want to recruit a creation master, but most of the creation masters she could recruit were at least 1 star. A Class 1 creation master's conditions were already so high that Zhou Jiesin couldn't accept it. Most of the creation masters in Class 5 shops were young and talented individuals that were selected by the shops themselves and nurtured with resources. Zhou Jiesin had also nurtured talented young people before, so she didn't mind the resources at all. It was obvious that it wasn't easy to become a creation master. Zhou Jiesin wanted to obtain some rare phase from Lin Yuan, but it wasn't something that could be said so easily. If he wanted to be a bootlicker, he couldn't just bootlick. The most important thing was how to make the boss accept it and lick it without leaving any traces. After being the owner of the Star Web spiritual ingredient store for a few years, even the most aloof person would be able to turn the method of roping in creation masters into an art. However, Zhou Jiesin's store didn't have the high-grade spirit beast flesh that Lin Yuan wanted. However, Zhou Jiesin also understood that if Lin Yuan needed high-grade spirit beast flesh, after she said she didn't have it, he would definitely go back to look for others. Zhou Jiesin naturally didn't wish for this to happen. If Lin Yuan found someone else and became a regular customer, wouldn't she lose everything? Zhou Jiesin made up her mind and sent a message. Zhou Jiesin, I don't have high-grade spirit beast flesh or high-grade dimensional lifeforms flesh. If you want to sell high-grade dimensional lifeforms flesh, you will need special qualifications. There are very few stores that have such qualifications. If you wish to purchase it, I can recommend you. Lin Yuan didn't expect that Zhou Jiesin would actually share her channel with him. Channels were the lifeblood of a fey and spiritual ingredient store. Every store had their own special channels, and they were the capital that allowed them to stand tall. Regardless of the reason why Zhou Jiesin was willing to share her channel with him, Lin Yuan would remember this favor. After surviving in the darkness for several years, Lin Yuan already knew how to be grateful. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Then I shall thank Big Sister Xian. I am in urgent need of high-grade spirit beast flesh and dimensional lifeforms flesh. When Zhou Jiesin saw Lin Yuan's gratitude, she was delighted. Zhou Jiesin was afraid that Lin Yuan wouldn't appreciate her kindness. Now that Lin Yuan actually sent a message of gratitude, it meant that Lin Yuan had accepted her kindness. After a short conversation, Lin Yuan used Zhou Jiesin's channel to log into the Star Web and arrived at a store that didn't have a signboard. After entering the store, Lin Yuan saw a burly man sitting there while flipping through a book. He was holding a pen and constantly recording on the book, as though he was going through a list of goods. When the burly man sensed someone entering, he lifted his head and glared at Lin Yuan. This isn't a store, and it doesn't accept guests. Lin Yuan quickly replied. Zhou Jiesin recommended me to purchase high-grade spirit beast flesh and dimensional lifeforms flesh. When the burly man heard that Zhou Jiesin had recommended him, he examined Lin Yuan and contacted Zhou Jiesin again to confirm Lin Yuan's identity before replying. Since Jiesin recommended me, you can call me Big Brother Feng. When Lin Yuan saw the burly man's cautious expression, he immediately guessed something. This store shouldn't have a special certificate and should be an illegal store. There were plenty of such illegal stores on the Star Web, and the Star Web's inspection was also very strict. Every time someone was caught, there would be a corresponding punishment. It was no wonder that the burly man was so sensitive and nervous. Big Brother Feng, how much is the high-grade spirit beast flesh sold here? The burly man shook his head and replied, I can only obtain a batch of high-grade fey flesh every month. I can only get a batch of high-grade fey flesh every month. Furthermore, they are all trash that can't be used as spiritual ingredients or made into delicacies. I don't care about the species. Bronze is 20,000 Federation dollars per caddy, silver is 150,000 Federation dollars per caddy, and gold is 1 radiance dollar per caddy. Right now, the stock is all sold out, and the stock for this half a year has already been booked. Lin Yuan frowned when he heard that. At that moment, Big Brother Feng continued speaking. It isn't easy to purchase high-grade fey flesh now, as high-ranked spirit chi professionals will use fey flesh to feed their carnivorous fays. If you need dimensional lifeforms flesh, I have plenty here, and I can give you a cheaper price. Lin Yuan's frown had already eased up. Regardless of whether it was the flesh of a high-grade fey or a high-grade dimensional lifeform, it was fine to feed it to Red Thorn. Chapter 57. Lin Yuan had already decided to purchase high-grade dimensional lifeforms flesh. Brother Feng, I just want the flesh of some high-level dimensional creatures. I wonder how much you're selling the flesh of these dimensional creatures. To be honest, the high-grade dimensional lifeform's flesh that I can collect isn't as edible as high-grade spirit beast's flesh. I can't collect edible high-grade dimensional lifeform's flesh either. What I can collect are mostly those produced from the abyss dimensional rifts and the insect world's dimensional rifts. When speaking, Lin Yuan could clearly sense the helplessness flashing in the burly Big Brother Feng's eyes. It was obvious that the sales of those harmful dimensional lifeforms' flesh weren't good. However, Red Thorn didn't need to be concerned about all these. In fact, the dimensional lifeform's flesh that other Fays couldn't consume might even bring some special enhancements to Red Thorn's evolution. I wonder what the price of these dimensional lifeforms' flesh is. Big Brother Feng didn't expect Lin Yuan to show the intention to purchase, and was rather delighted. Class 1 dimensional lifeforms are equivalent to Bronze Fays, 500 Federation dollars per caddy. Class 2 dimensional lifeforms are equivalent to Silver Fays, 8,000 Federation dollars per caddy. Class 3 dimensional lifeforms are equivalent to Gold Fays, 100,000 Federation dollars per caddy. Lin Yuan was rather surprised as he didn't expect the dimensional lifeform's flesh to be so cheap. It was several times more expensive than Fae's flesh. Gold dimensional lifeform's flesh was only 100,000 Federation dollars per caddy, which meant that 100 Radiance dollars could buy 500 caddies. Of course, Red Thorn was only at normal right now. Even if it was digesting dimensional lifeform's flesh, it had to be done step by step. The alien insect corpses that Lin Yuan had fed previously didn't even have a grade. The energy contained within its body might be much inferior to a normal Fae. Therefore, Lin Yuan was planning to start feeding Red Thorn Bronze Fae's flesh. Big Brother Feng, I will buy 1,500 caddies of bronze dimensional lifeform's flesh first. Let's exchange contact information. In the future, when I need dimensional lifeform's flesh, I will order it from you. When Big Brother Feng saw that Lin Yuan had bought dimensional lifeform's flesh, he immediately smiled and said, "All right. I will give you more this time. I'll give you a little more this time. A rank 1 alien insect is about 30 kilograms, so I'll give you 55. The rest is a gift to you." Lin Yuan had previously felt that high-grade dimensional lifeform's flesh was cheap, but now that he had used 1,500 Radiance dollars to buy 1,500 caddies, he felt that it wasn't that much. Previously, he had fed Red Thorn with 1,000 alien insects. Of course, the energy in the bodies of those 1,000 alien insects might only be able to match up to 3 rank 1 alien insects. After making the purchase, Lin Yuan planned to enter seclusion. For the past few days, other than going to the Star Tower and evolving the bronze rank Usnias, the rest of the time was spent watching Red Thorn evolve. When Red Thorn evolved to elite grade, he could try feeding it with the flesh of Class 1 and Class 2 dimensional lifeforms. He believed that it wouldn't take long for it to evolve to bronze level. During the process of feeding Red Thorn, Lin Yuan could clearly feel Red Thorn's cheerful mental state. However, Red Thorn encountered some problems when it was devouring the bronze creature's flesh. The corrosive nature of a rank 1 alien insect's blood could instantly corrode a piece of wood and turn it black. Such a corrosive nature would affect the normal Red Thorn at the start. Even Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish would shrivel up and turn black because of the corrosive nature of the Class 1 alien insect's blood. Lin Yuan thought, not good. It seems like I'm still too impatient. Just as he was preparing to let Red Thorn spit out the Class 1 alien insect's flesh, Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish was slowly recovering because it had absorbed the alien insect's energy. During the recovery process, the mouth of relinquish would be corroded again. When the mouth of relinquish was corroded again, it would still shrivel up and turn black, but it wasn't as serious as before. Upon seeing such a situation, Lin Yuan gave up on the idea of changing Red Thorn's diet. Red Thorn was obviously adapting to the Class 1 alien insect's corrosive nature. At the same time, it was increasing its body's resistance to corrosive blood. This was the evolution direction that the Class 1 alien insect's flesh was driving Red Thorn's evolution direction. Such evolution was induced. Even if Red Thorn was a source seed, these characteristics weren't something that could be evolved so easily. Red Thorn couldn't digest the Class 1 alien insect so easily. However, Lin Yuan could clearly feel that Red Thorn was becoming more and more resistant to the Class 1 alien insect's blood's corrosive nature. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly felt Red Thorn's intention to ask him again. Lin Yuan said, "Enhance the attack power." To strengthen the attack, I'll strengthen the vines that have already grown out. Red Thorn's attack power was what Lin Yuan valued the most. When Red Thorn evolved to normal, it had grown some 2-meter-long vines, and there were over a dozen of them. These vines allowed Red Thorn to have a certain combat ability. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, these vines were still rather weak. Although the barbs on the vines were very sharp, it was still very difficult to kill a defense-type Fey with just these barbs. At that moment, after Red Thorn heard Lin Yuan's order, it fell into a deep sleep. Deep sleep was an essential evolution process for Red Thorn. Other Feys evolved according to their genes, and evolved in a direction that was specified by their genes. Although exclusive skills increased the lifeform's diversity, there was also a rough template. Red Thorn's evolution didn't have such a template. Therefore, it needed to be automatically generated according to Lin Yuan's instructions. And this process required a lot of time. After a day, Lin Yuan realized that Red Thorn still didn't have any movements. However, Lin Yuan could clearly feel Red Thorn's current state through the contract. Red Thorn's state was very good. Genius jumped onto Lin Yuan's shoulder and said to him, "Lin Yuan, I have memorized all the knowledge in the book." "Lin Yuan, I have memorized all the knowledge in the book. I guarantee that I will remember everything by heart." After speaking, Genius used its small head to rub against Lin Yuan's cheek, and enjoyed the intimate process with Lin Yuan. Chimey had been addicted to live streaming for the past 2 days, so it didn't bother Lin Yuan much. Whenever Chimey couldn't solve something, it would call Genius. Genius was like Chimey's super housekeeper, and took care of everything neatly. Chimey was just fooling around. As it liked to sing, it had accidentally started live streaming. However, the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess's reputation was now abnormally resounding. Her popularity on Star Web had almost crushed all the singing hosts. Of course, this was only the reason why the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess was famous. The reason why the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess was so popular was because of the Radiance 100 Sequence's 87th member, Lord Ranger. Lord Ranger had spent a lot of money on live streaming for the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess, and had reached the top of the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess fan rankings. Every Radiance 100 Sequence member's words and actions were especially sought after. Chapter 58. However, this matter might have attracted the attention of the entire Star Web. Be it Chimey or Lin Yuan, they didn't notice this matter. When Chimey was singing, it was still looking at the bullet comments. When it was looking at the bullet comments that were constantly praising it, there wouldn't be any other content. As for Lin Yuan, he had been busy becoming stronger, and didn't know that Chimey was suddenly live streaming on the Star Web. Since Genius had finished learning the relevant knowledge for the primary scholar, Fey observer, and spiritual ingredient analyst, Lin Yuan knew that there were still 3 days left. Lin Yuan saw that there were still 3 days before the appointed time with Zhou Jiesin. The Creation Master exam wasn't on the Star Web. In a city, only the main city would have a Creation Master Association. The Redbud City's Creation Master Association was set up in the main city. Lin Yuan brought Genius, and rode the bronze black-winged goose to Redbud City. After riding on a platinum black-winged goose, the mentality of riding a bronze black-winged goose was already different from the first time. After riding on a platinum black-winged goose, Lin Yuan's mentality was already different from the first time he rode on a bronze black-winged goose. When he arrived at Redbud City and looked at the time, it was already noon. Lin Yuan couldn't help but wonder if he should call Chu Xi out for lunch. After thinking about it, he was here to participate in the Creation Master exam. He might as well share the joy with Chu Xi after the Creation Master exam. Lin Yuan wasn't worried that there would be any slip-ups during the Creation Master exam. In fact, Lin Yuan was thinking if he could complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours, and get the chance to skip the advancement exams for 3 lifestyle class Spirit Chi occupations, he would be able to take the Class 2 Creation Master exam immediately. Lin Yuan called for a ride and headed to the Creation Master Association. Redbud City's facilities were much better than the Xia region's. Redbud City's streets were at least 30 meters wide, and it was more than enough for a Platinum Fae to traverse through the streets. However, almost no one would summon a Platinum Fae in Redbud City's city district. Even a powerhouse would choose to travel by transportation. This was why everything in Redbud City was so peaceful and prosperous. At the entrance of the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan looked at the Creation Master Association's entrance, and then at the City Lord's mansion that was not far away. Lin Yuan felt that the Creation Master Association was even more imposing than the City Lord residence. It was easy to see how respected the Creation Master Association was. Lin Yuan didn't pick a time to participate in the Creation Master exam, and it was purely a coincidence. However, there were plenty of people walking inside the Creation Master Association's entrance with apprehensive expressions. Most of the people who came and went were here to participate in the assessment. Many of them were filled with apprehension or confidence when they entered, but when they came out, almost all of them looked dejected. On average, only 1 out of 100 people had a look of excitement and joy on their faces. It was obvious how difficult the Creation Master exam was. Most of the participants who were participating in the Creation Master exam were already fully prepared. Otherwise, if they failed the test, they would not be allowed to participate in the second test within a year. Very few people were willing to bet a year of their lives if they weren't sure. Although that was the case, even if they were fully prepared, it would still be difficult for them to pass the test. Lin Yuan had already asked Genius to turn them into glasses. The bespectacled Lin Yuan looked a little more scholarly, making him seem more amiable. He entered the Creation Master Association. Lin Yuan was immediately stopped by the Creation Master Association's receptionist. Every receptionist in the Creation Master Association would receive 30 Creation Masters that were here to participate in the exam. Lin Yuan observed silently and noticed that only one person in his group looked rather confident. The rest of the people were obviously very nervous. One of the chubby ones even trembled as he walked. When the number of people reached 30, the staff in charge of reception asked, "In a while, hand me the certificates of the 3 lifestyle class spirit chi occupations and take the exam. When you come out, take your scorecard and take your certificates from me." The receptionist was a very gentle big sister. Her voice was so gentle that it seemed like it could drip water. After giving the instructions, he sat on the stool and gestured to the participants of the Creation Master exam to encourage them. "I wish you all the best in passing the test. May your future be bright." Encouragement before participating in the examination could indeed inspire people's spirits. As the receptionist of the Creation Master Association, he was also a Creation Master. A Creation Master that was able to stay in the Creation Master Association to work was obviously a very talented one. With such a transcendent status, there wasn't a need to say such things. Since he had said it, it must be a blessing from the bottom of his heart. At that moment, Lin Yuan scratched his head awkwardly. While everyone else went to participate in the test, Lin Yuan stood on the spot and said, "That's right. I heard that the Creation Master Association can conduct the tests for 3 primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. Therefore, I didn't prepare any proof in advance and wanted to come to the Creation Master Association for the test." Ning Xuejuan had always had a gentle temperament and was used to being unperturbed when encountering anything. However, she was flabbergasted by Lin Yuan's statement. After a long time, Ning Xuejuan said, "The Creation Master Association can indeed conduct the tests for the primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. The Creation Master Association can indeed conduct tests for primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations, but the Creation Master Association can only test for 3 knowledge class lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. They are Scholar, Fey Observer, and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst. If you wish to participate in other tests, you will have to go to other lifestyle class spirit chi occupations associations to conduct the tests." When Ning Xuejuan spoke, she looked at Lin Yuan and shook her head helplessly. How many years had it been since the participants of the Creation Master Association had encountered someone who could take the lifestyle class Spirit Chi Occupations test in the Creation Master Association? Which one of them didn't make thorough preparations before participating in the Creation Master exam? This was Ning Xuejuan's first time seeing someone being so sloppy. Who would have expected for Ning Xuejuan to hear something that made her even more flabbergasted? I want to take the test for these 3 occupations, and it just so happens that the Creation Master Association can do it. Ning Xuejuan wanted to burst out with vulgarities. She felt that this youth in front of her was truly an immortal. He had never heard of anyone using the 3 primary knowledge type Spirit Chi occupations to participate in the Creation Master exam. If one wanted to participate in the exam for these 3 occupations, they would need to comprehend close to 300 books. Putting aside the fact that each book was too heavy to carry, the most important point was to memorize all the contents of the book in order to pass the exam. How could a youth learn such a huge task? Even if there would only be one knowledge occupation that could be used for the exam. Ning Xuejuan hadn't seen the other 2 occupations. Those who could participate in the Creation Master exam were all Spirit Chi professionals. Chapter 59. Ning Xuejuan asked with an uncertain expression. Are you really not joking? Lin Yuan nodded seriously. How could he joke at a time like this? Even if he wanted to joke around, he had to look at the occasion, right? Upon hearing his confirmation, Ning Xuejuan looked at him with a somewhat complicated gaze. Ning Xuejuan really wanted to ask if Lin Yuan was joking. The Creation Master Association's exam had always been easy to enter and strict to leave. The people who came for the assessment did not need to have a high threshold. However, it was extremely difficult to pass the Creation Master exam. This was also the Radiance Federation's emphasis on the Creation Master occupation. They didn't want to miss out on a talented commoner. In Ning Xuejuan's opinion, Lin Yuan was indeed a troublemaker. Logically speaking, Ning Xuejuan should be following the procedures in bringing Lin Yuan to undergo the primary scholar, Fey Observer, and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst tests. However, Frozen Snow Lord didn't follow the procedure. If he followed the procedures and conducted 3 knowledge-type Spirit Chi occupations exams in the Creation Master Association, it would definitely attract the attention of the upper echelons. It would be fine if Lin Yuan passed the exam, but if he couldn't, he would be labeled as a troublemaker in the Creation Master Association. It wasn't a small matter to cause trouble in the Creation Master Association. It was very likely that it would be recorded in his resume as a Radiant citizen. So Ning Xuejuan tried to persuade him again. From the information you filled out, you are called Lin Yuan, right? Lin Yuan. The questions for the 3 primary exams, provided by the Creation Master Association, are different from the exams that you will receive when you go to the other lifestyle class associations. Since these 3 exams are entrusted to the Creation Master Association, the Creation Master Association will set up their own questions. The Creation Master Association's questions will be much more tricky than the other lifestyle class associations' questions. Therefore, I suggest. Before Ning Xuejuan could finish her sentence, she heard an old voice. Lass, someone came to our Creation Master Association to take the Knowledge Class Creation Master exam. How can we push them away? Also, how is this question tricky? This old man did not deviate from the scope of the exam. These questions are all from within the scope. As long as you understand them, you will be able to answer them. The old man's voice was very calm, with a hint of benevolence. However, when Ning Xuejuan heard the old man's voice, she quickly turned her head and said, Mr. Vice President, aren't you cultivating platinum spiral-toothed sharks in the breeding room? I'll take care of this small matter. When the old man heard Ning Xuejuan's words, his face turned serious. Just call me Grandpa. There's nothing to hide in the guild. I won't take special care of you anyway. I'm tired, can't I come out for a breath of fresh air? Little Snow Lord, you don't care about your grandfather at all. When the old man replied, he didn't mention Lin Yuan at all. However, his eyes were carefully sizing up Lin Yuan. Ning Xuejuan held her forehead with one hand and gave Lin Yuan a look indicating for him to quickly escape. Although his grandfather looked kind, the speed at which he changed his face was a bit inferior to Sichuan opera. He had an eccentric temper. When he met someone he liked, he would protect them with all his might. When he met someone he hated, he would immediately belittle them. Ning Xuejuan knew that her grandfather had an eccentric temper. His grandfather hated people who didn't take their studies seriously. Lin Yuan looked at Ning Xuejuan's gaze and grinned like a sunny big boy. At that moment, the old man spoke to Lin Yuan. "Child, you are rather confident. You didn't even prepare in advance before coming to the Creation Master Association for the exam. The Creation Master Association's 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations aren't that easy to answer." When the old man spoke, his expression was rather calm, as though he was just trying to strike up a conversation out of boredom. When Lin Yuan heard the old man's words, he replied calmly and naturally, "Vice President is right. But aren't all the questions difficult if you don't know them, and easy if you know them?" Lin Yuan's answer made the old man take another look at Lin Yuan and say, "That's right. What a good way to say that it's difficult to learn. But it's not difficult to learn. What an imposing way of saying it. If you have real ability, then you can be called a young hero. If you don't have real ability, then you're trying to fool this old man with words." When Ning Xuejuan heard her grandfather's words, she knew that her grandfather had taken Lin Yuan's words seriously. For a moment, she looked at Lin Yuan with sympathy. Ning Xuejuan couldn't help her grandfather's temper and eccentric temper. Lin Yuan was naturally filled with respect for the vice president of the Creation Master Association. These people were the pioneers on the path of creation masters. While each of them was evolving their phase, they were imperceptibly helping countless high-ranked spirit chi professionals. The Radiance Federation's current beautiful situation was inseparable from these people. This junior is naturally speaking the truth and doesn't dare to be careless. Lin Yuan's words were originally very ordinary, but when coupled with his behavior of wanting to take the 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations, it seemed rather arrogant and conceited. The old man still didn't react, but he changed the topic. "Since you're so confident, you must be quite knowledgeable as well. There were 2 types of prehistoric life on this planet. One was the megalodon, and the other was the leviathan. These 2 were the true overlords of the ocean during the tertiary period of prehistory. The 2 of them fought for tens of millions of years, and in the end, there was no clear victor. In your opinion, which one is stronger, the megalodon or the leviathan?" The old man's casual question made Ning Xuejuan's expression change. She thought, not good. This question was still being debated in the academic world, and there wasn't a widespread definition. Both were top-class predators that ruled over the tertiary period's ocean. They were the overlord-class life forms, and jointly controlled the abundant resources of the tertiary period's ocean. In terms of attack power, both life forms were evenly matched. Therefore, the difference in strength was based on individual combat strength, grasp of opportunities, and combat experience. No matter how Lin Yuan answered this question, it wouldn't be considered wrong. However, her grandfather was a staunch member of the Megalodon faction. He firmly believed that the Megalodon was the overlord of the tertiary period's ocean. It would be fine if Lin Yuan said it was the Megalodon, but if he said it was the Leviathan, her grandfather would probably fall out with him on the spot. Ning Xuejuan quickly replied, "Grandfather, you were still arguing with Grandfather Zheng about this topic." "Grandpa, you and Grandpa Zheng have been arguing endlessly about this topic before. What is there to ask? You feel that the Megalodon is the overlord." Ning Xuejuan's words were very ingenious, and she was conveying a message to Lin Yuan. In Ning Xuejuan's opinion, if Lin Yuan was smart enough, he would definitely know how to answer this question. The old man could also hear the hidden meaning in Ning Xuejuan's words. He felt that his question was a little dull and uninteresting. Lin Yuan was experienced in the ways of the world, and he naturally understood. However, he maintained his respect for the old man, and combined the knowledge in his mind. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before replying. Chapter 60. The elder didn't expect to hear a new point of view from Lin Yuan. His interest was piqued, and he said kindly, "Young man, tell me about it. This old man likes to hear opinions that are insightful. Speak your mind." Ning Xuejuan was hopping mad as she listened. Her grandfather seemed to say the same thing every time before his face changed. Lin Yuan pondered for a while before replying. Actually, there's this answer because both have been eliminated in evolution, so they're both weak. Otherwise, neither the megalodon nor the leviathan whale can be seen now. Even if the sharks in the ocean have undergone atavistic mutation, and some have mutated into the megalodon, they're no longer megalodon or leviathan whales. This point of view made the old man fall silent. He had always heard that the megalodon or the leviathan whale were strong. Perhaps the two sides were equally matched, but without exception, they all said they were strong. This was the first time someone said they were weak. However, this weakness was understandable from the perspective of natural selection. Perhaps it was because Lin Yuan's point of view was too novel. Even when the old man heard someone say that the megalodon was weak, he did not immediately explode. Why? The megalodon and the leviathan ruled the oceans of the tertiary period for millions of years. However, regardless of whether it was the leviathan whale or the megalodon, due to their high apex, it resulted in the slow evolution of marine animals in the tertiary period. Therefore, they naturally chose to use a meteorite 65 million years ago to persuade both sides to stop the war with an irrefutable truth. This collision ushered in a new era of the Quaternary Ocean, and at the same time, wiped out the megalodon whale and the leviathan whale. Therefore, from a creation master's perspective, in terms of survival and evolution, the megalodon and the leviathan whale are both weak. Lin Yuan voiced out his thoughts. This idea was not merely based on what cleverness had learned. Most of it was the accumulation of his previous life's knowledge and the comprehension he had gained after promoting phase evolution. In the long river of time, everything was but smoke and dust. The path of evolution for a successful person was never to stand at the top and look down on the masses. A truly successful species evolution is one that knows how to evolve and overcome the next disaster in tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of years. This way of survival was the eternal victor on the path of evolution. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's explanation, the old man was silent for a long time, as though he was recalling Lin Yuan's words. Ning Xuejuan no longer looked at Lin Yuan, as though he was just a troublemaker. This was because such words could not be easily said by an uneducated person. Lin Yuan stood quietly in place, neither arrogant nor impatient. At this moment, the old man suddenly laughed and clapped his hands. "All right." The old man's voice was very loud and immediately attracted the attention of many people. However, the elder didn't care and looked at Lin Yuan. "Young man, what you said is really brilliant. But why did the meteorite from 65 million years ago destroy the megalodon and the leviathan whale, but the shark and whale populations still survive to this day?" When the old man asked this question, there was no longer any hesitation in his eyes. Obviously, the old man knew the answer. He was asking this question purely to test Lin Yuan. She wanted to see if Lin Yuan's previous answer was based on his feelings, or if he truly understood the crux of the matter. Lin Yuan didn't think about it this time and said, "That's right. The higher you go, the weaker the food chain is. The meteorite 65 million years ago first destroyed the algae in the ocean, and the death of the algae was followed by the unicorn shrimps. The unicorn shrimps are the food source of various baleen whales and various large filter-feeding fishes. The baleen whales and various large filter-feeding fishes are also the common food of the megalodon and leviathan whales. The megalodon and leviathan whales stand at the top of the food pyramid, but they are also the weakest link in the ecological niche. This is the reason for their extinction." When the old man heard Lin Yuan clearly say the answer in his heart, he felt that Lin Yuan was pleasing to the eye no matter how he looked at him. People of learning often cherish talented people, especially when he saw such a young youth. There was a feeling of inheritance, which made the old man feel very gratified. He turned around and said to Ning Xuejuan, who was standing at the side, "Lass, those who went in to take the exam will be coming out one after another. Since you can't leave, I'll bring this young man to take the exam for the 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations. I want to see the standard of the youngsters nowadays. Ning Xuejuan placed the form that Lin Yuan filled in her grandfather's hand and secretly gave Lin Yuan a thumbs up. Lin Yuan returned the gesture to express his gratitude and followed the old man to a classroom inside. The old man turned his head and said to Lin Yuan, "I'll invigilate the exam later." Actually, invigilating an exam is very interesting. I can see a person's 3 qualities by watching a person's answers. The old man didn't care if Lin Yuan answered or not, and just continued talking. Perhaps he was happy, but he seemed to be a chatterbox along the way and didn't stop talking. I can see a person's state of mind by looking at a person's expression when answering a question. I can see a person's attitude towards learning by looking at a person's answers. I can see a person's mental quality by looking at the steps when answering a question. It has been almost 10 years since this old man last invigilated an exam. While speaking, the old man's eyes revealed some reminiscence. Lin Yuan listened quietly. He felt that even the Redbud City's Creation Master Association's vice president, who even the city lord had to be courteous to, was just an old man who was a little biased towards learning. During the exam, the old man didn't hesitate and immediately handed all 3 exam papers to Lin Yuan. When entering the exam, Lin Yuan's mind was highly concentrated, and it felt as though everything in the outside world had nothing to do with him. When Lin Yuan started to answer the questions, the old man didn't feel anything. But after a short moment, the old man felt that Lin Yuan's answers were actually pleasing to the eye. The brush tip landed on the paper at the same frequency. It was neither fast nor slow, and it was calm and steady. As for Lin Yuan, his expression didn't change as he answered the questions on the test paper page by page according to the order. The old man admired Lin Yuan's calm bearing, and he couldn't help but look forward to Lin Yuan's results, which were the answers. While answering the questions, Lin Yuan finally understood why Ning Xuejuan said that the Creation Master Association's questions would be very tricky. It was because 10% of the questions actually came from the notes in the book. There were even some questions that could only be answered in the book's preface. The person who came up with the questions was truly trying to make things difficult for others. But to Lin Yuan, it was still the same. I don't know if it is difficult, but it isn't difficult if I know it. It was precisely because of this that Lin Yuan's answers were like moving clouds and flowing water. Chapter 61. When Lin Yuan was answering the questions, he didn't feel the flow of time. Smoothly answering the questions was from the first question to the last, without any pause. In fact, the process of answering the questions was the process of Lin Yuan wearing Genius's tool transformation glasses to learn and organize. The knowledge that Genius learned was still Genius after all. If Genius didn't transform into a pair of glasses, Lin Yuan's mind wouldn't have the knowledge that Genius learned. Lin Yuan knew that learning would always be a never-ending path. Right now, it was also a trick for him to take the exam for a knowledge-based lifestyle occupation. Lin Yuan still had to slowly learn this knowledge. For example, Lin Yuan would be able to remember most of the questions on the test paper during the process of answering. After Lin Yuan wrote down this knowledge, it invisibly became his. This was the reward. There were many small rewards that weren't eye-catching, but when these small rewards were combined, they would achieve a metamorphosis. Elder Ning had been looking at Lin Yuan answering the questions. He didn't realize how much time had passed. When Lin Yuan stood up to hand in the exam paper, Elder Ning looked at the clock and was rather shocked and confused. Elder Ning was looking at Lin Yuan answering the questions. Elder Ning had seen how Lin Yuan answered the questions calmly, but looking at the time, it was too fast. When he had come up with the questions, he had put in a lot of effort to make the questions tricky. Elder Ning didn't believe that Lin Yuan could answer the questions so quickly, but Lin Yuan's calmness didn't seem to be an act. Elder Ning took Lin Yuan's exam paper and started to look at it. Lin Yuan stood at the same spot and let his mind go blank from the deep learning. Lin Yuan liked the feeling of mastering knowledge very much. Elder Ning took the exam paper and saw that Lin Yuan's words were written with golden hooks and iron strokes. A good handwriting might not be considered a great ability after the spirit qi awakening, but it was able to give people a good impression. The more Elder Ning looked at the exam paper, the more shocked he was. Every single one of these questions had the correct answer. 1 passage, 2 passages, 3 passages. Until the end, Elder Ning didn't find a single wrong answer. Elder Ning turned around and examined it carefully again. It was rare for him to be so serious. However, after checking again, he still didn't find a single mistake. The 3 lifestyle class spirit qi occupations primary exam actually scored full marks. This was an inconceivable fact, but it was indisputable. If it wasn't for the fact that Elder Ning was certain that the answers to his questions wouldn't be leaked, Elder Ning would have felt that Lin Yuan was answering the questions with the standard answers. After a moment of silence, Elder Ning lifted his head and looked at Lin Yuan with a trace of graveness and admiration. What was solemn was that this fact was simply too unbelievable. What he admired was Lin Yuan's test results, how calm Lin Yuan was when answering the questions, and how meticulous Lin Yuan was when doing research. He couldn't find a single mistake. Lin Yuan said while looking at Elder Ning's eyes, "Elder Ning, can I participate in the Creation Master exam now?" Elder Ning waved his hand and said, "Good kid, heroes come from the youth. You are someone with true capability. However, you will not be able to pass the Creation Master exam today. Leave the information here and come back tomorrow to participate in the Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan was a little confused. "I have already completed the Knowledge Spirit Qi Occupation exam. Why can't I immediately participate in the Creation Master exam? If I were to participate in the exam tomorrow, I would need to consider the time to become a Class 2 Creation Master. I am afraid that I will miss the appointed time with Big Sister Xian, and I won't be able to find any loopholes. Elder Ning, can't I take the exam today? I wish to try and see if I can complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours." Elder Ning smacked his lips and looked at Lin Yuan with an even more solemn gaze. His words were so praising that they were about to spill out. "Kid, you are rather ambitious. To complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours. Could it be that you wish to try and become a Class 2 Creation Master?" Elder Ning might be speaking like this, but due to Lin Yuan's previous exam results, Elder Ning believed Lin Yuan's words a little. He really felt that Lin Yuan could complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours. "Then you will have to come back tomorrow. Who asked you to score so high and break the record for the Creation Master Association's Elementary Knowledge Spirit Qi Occupation exam? Therefore, I will have to report your results to the Lifestyle Class Spirit Qi Occupations Association and go through the necessary procedures." After hearing Elder Ning's words, Lin Yuan nodded. Just as he was about to leave, Elder Ning stopped him and said, "Don't be in a hurry to leave. Follow me to the breeding room to take a look at the spiral-toothed shark that I am nurturing. Take a look at this old man's research." Lin Yuan might not have passed the Creation Master exam yet. However, it was obvious that Elder Ning had already treated Lin Yuan as a junior with potential. Elder Ning's words had the intention to guide Lin Yuan. In fact, it was because of Elder Ning's admiration for Lin Yuan. Otherwise, even if Lin Yuan was a Class 3 Creation Master, Elder Ning wouldn't even bother with him. To be the vice president of a city's Creation Master Association meant that Lin Yuan was destined to be a Class 4 Creation Master. The Creation Master Association had a tradition. Be it the major cities' Creation Master Association, or the Radiance Federation's Royal Capital's Creation Master Association, they didn't have a president. The person with the highest authority was the vice president. There were 3 absolute experts among the Creation Masters, which were the Pinnacle Class 5 Creation Masters. They were the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress. The Bamboo Monarch and the Chef Supreme were veteran Class 5 Creation Masters, and were also the earliest batch of Creation Masters since the Spirit Qi Awakening. They stood at the pinnacle of Creation Masters. The Moon Empress was a rising star. After becoming a Class 5 Creation Master with exceptional talent, she had been concealing her capabilities and biding her time. For the past 10 years, the Moon Empress had been keeping a low profile. However, after the Moon Empress proclaimed herself as the Empress, no one else dared to proclaim themselves as the Empress. Even the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress weren't willing to be the president of the Creation Master Association. They only held the title of honorary elder. Therefore, in order to express their respect for the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress, the Creation Master Association didn't have a president and only had a vice president. If Lin Yuan was known to be able to obtain Elder Ning's appreciation, countless creation masters would be envious of him. Lin Yuan naturally didn't dare to decline the elder's invitation, as he was very interested in Platinum Phase. It was a pleasant surprise for Lin Yuan to be invited by Elder Ning to take a look at his breeding room. The Creation Master's breeding room was considered a private territory, and it was rare for outsiders to be invited. It was especially so when one could view the Platinum Phase that were being nurtured. Lin Yuan followed Elder Ning to his breeding room. As soon as he entered the breeding room, Lin Yuan could smell the unique smell of seawater and the violent pressure that was enveloping it. When he saw the scene inside the breeding room, Lin Yuan was shocked. This breeding room was too huge. At a glance, there was a huge pool that was close to 1,000 meters in length and width. It was just like a small-scale artificial sea. The sea was emitting a terrifying pressure that seemed to have extreme offensive power. At that moment, Lin Yuan felt Elder Ning circulating the spirit qi in his body. 3 willpower runes emerged from his body and emitted powerful spirit qi waves. Chapter 62. The might of a king-class expert was completely revealed at this moment. Lin Yuan felt that he was like a lone boat in the middle of a vast ocean that might be submerged and devoured by the waves at any moment. Elder Ning had purposely restrained his aura when facing Lin Yuan. Otherwise, the king-class expert's aura would have crushed Lin Yuan to the ground. As Elder Ning's aura burst forth, a massive shadow appeared in the small man-made sea. The bright silver dorsal fin had dark red patterns, and it was like a sharp sword that split the surface of the sea. The 10-meter-long giant body leaped from the surface of the sea and smashed into the surface of the sea, setting off monstrous waves. The impact of the airflow caused Lin Yuan to stagger and nearly fall. Elder Ning waved his hand at Lin Yuan and said, "This is my newly bred spiral-toothed shark. This is my newly bred spiral-toothed shark." Elder Ning introduced it to Lin Yuan indifferently. At that moment, the spiral-toothed shark had already swam close, and its teeth were like rotating gears. Not only that, but the upper jaw also grew a row of vertical fangs, and the gears with the lower teeth formed a pair of scissors that could cut. This allowed the spiral-toothed shark to transform into a killing tool in the sea, using its spiral teeth and scissors to cut and shred the life forms in front of it. This spiral-toothed shark didn't just have the characteristics of the prehistoric spiral-toothed shark. It also perfectly superimposed the spiral-toothed shark's characteristics on top of the spiral-toothed sharks. This was an extremely exciting prehistoric atavism and evolutionary breeding result. Lin Yuan looked at the spiral-toothed shark and tilted his ear to Elder Ning. Elder Ning obviously had something else to say when he called him over. "Kid, I've already nurtured this spiral-toothed shark to Platinum X/Legend, but I haven't upgraded it to Diamond, because I want to induce it to mutate in the direction of a megalodon when it's upgraded to Diamond," Lin Huang explained. After saying that, Elder Lin took out a platinum face storage box from the side and took out mini glass test tubes from it. After opening the test tubes, he poured the golden red liquid into the spiral-toothed shark's mouth. Lin Yuan recognized this golden red liquid. Wasn't this golden red liquid the platinum dragon's blood? Big Sister Xion's price for a drop of platinum dragon's blood was 2,000 radiance dollars. There were about 100 drops in each of these tubes. He had already put down 10 tubes, which were worth at least 2 million radiance dollars. This made Lin Yuan have a new definition of luxury. Elder Ning fed the spiral-toothed shark and explained, "The prehistoric megalodon preys on draconic beasts in the sea. Feeding them with the blood of draconic beasts will induce the spiral-toothed shark to evolve into the megalodon." Creation masters might not be able to do anything, but you have to remember that all life forms' evolution is traceable. Lin Yuan carefully thought about Elder Ning words. At the same time, he was also looking at the spiral-toothed shark, thinking that if the spiral-toothed shark evolved again in the direction of the megalodon, its size would increase exponentially. At the same time, in addition to spiral and scissor teeth, it could also grow a mouth full of giant teeth. Spiral-toothed shark could, and spiral-toothed shark. At that time, Lin Yuan did not dare to imagine how powerful the spiral-toothed shark would be. After feeding the sawtooth-sheared shark, Elder Ning brought Lin Yuan out of the breeding room. Lin Yuan had been mulling over the meaning of Elder Ning's words. At this moment, Elder Ning said, "Becoming a creation master isn't just to create and supplement life. It is also to save lives. You can leave now and come back early for the exam tomorrow." Lin Yuan nodded and bade farewell. After leaving the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan realized that the sky was already dark. At that moment, in the Creation Master Association, Elder Ning personally wrote a letter and spoke to the assistant beside him. "Take this letter directly to the Lord's mansion and hand it over to City Lord Ling Xiao." After the assistant left, Elder Ning sighed with anticipation. "Lin Yuan, whether or not you have the chance to ascend in a single step tomorrow will depend on whether you can pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan didn't know the reason for the Creation Master Association's reform. However, as the vice president of the Redbud City's Creation Master Association, Elder Ning knew about it. The Creation Master Association's reform was due to the Moon Empress' intention to accept disciples for the first time. It had been many years since the Redbud City's Creation Master Association had produced a true talent. He wondered if the Redbud City's Creation Master Association would be able to bring more glory to the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan rushed toward the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. In the car, Lin Yuan dialed Chu Si's number. However, Lin Yuan did not expect that after the phone rang for half a minute, it would not be Chu Si but another familiar voice. It was Teacher Bao's voice. "He's Chu Si's brother, right? Chu Si is injured and is undergoing treatment. If there's nothing urgent, I'll have Chu Si return your call after the treatment." As Teacher Bao spoke, there was a faint sound of collision like a fight. Lin Yuan immediately asked worriedly, "Teacher, why is Chu Si injured? I'm almost at school." When Teacher Bao heard Lin Yuan's words, he replied calmly, "Our school's doctor is equipped with a silver healing fei, and will be able to heal it quickly. As a parent, you don't have to worry. It's inevitable to get injured during combat classes. Almost every student will suffer different injuries during combat classes. This is the only way to train combat standards." Teacher Bao's words put Lin Yuan at ease. However, at the same time, it made him feel that Chu Si had been injured because of the Sharp Iron Horn Bull's unorthodox defense-type fei. If this Sharp Iron Horn Bull did not have the sacrifice characteristic, it would be an offense-type fei. If Lin Yuan had prepared a traditional defense-type fei, Chu Si might not have been injured. Defense-type spirit chi professionals had always had a nickname: wearing the thickest armor and enduring the most vicious attacks. Lin Yuan did not want Chu Si to be injured, so he suddenly had the idea of forging Chu Si into an iron bucket. This was not enough. Not only did he want to become an iron bucket, but he also wanted to become an iron bucket that could reflect shocks. Only by forging Chu Si into an iron bucket could Lin Yuan be at ease. It just so happened that Chu Si could contract a second fei now, so he might as well prepare it before the holidays. "Teacher Bao, I'm at the school entrance. I want to go to the school infirmary to see Chu Si. Wait at the entrance for a while. Chu Si's treatment will be completed in a few minutes. It's dinner time, so I'll ask her to pick you up at the school entrance. You can have dinner together." After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan stood at the school entrance, thinking about what exactly he should prepare for Chu Si's second defense-type fei. Chapter 63. There were countless types of defense-type feis. If they were to really compare, there would probably be over 1 million types of defense-type feis. Although the abilities that each fei could comprehend tended to be similar to those of similar fays. They were not exactly the same. Exclusive skills rarely overlapped, so one had to be very careful when choosing a fae. This was because the combination of fays was a spirit chi professional's true trump card and means. Lin Yuan's head hurt as he thought about it. Lin Yuan felt that the fays that were suitable for Chu Si were rare and needed to be nurtured in a specific direction. Lin Yuan had the means to promote the evolution of fays, so he focused more on normal fays when choosing fays for Chu Si. This was because the fays that he nurtured from a young age were constantly evolving. In some aspects, when they reached the same grade, they would be stronger than high-grade fays of the same grade. They were also more compatible with spirit chi professionals. Therefore, Lin Yuan had no reason not to choose low-grade fays for Chu Si to nurture. Just as Lin Yuan was thinking carefully, suddenly, Lin Yuan felt someone pat his arm, and then he heard a delighted voice. Lin Yuan, why are you here to see me? Since Chu Si had parted ways with Lin Yuan, she had thought that she would only see him again when she returned home from school. She did not expect that Lin Yuan would come to see her again not long after. Lin Yuan looked at Chu Si and carefully observed her. He moved her arm and found that it was indeed completely healed. Only then did he feel relieved and said, I'm here to participate in the Creation Master exam this time. I came to pick you up for a meal. Let's go. You said you wanted to eat barbecue last time. Let's go find a barbecue shop. After saying that, Lin Yuan pulled Chu Si toward the street next to the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. From time to time, a few female students would come to strike up a conversation, making Lin Yuan really tired of dealing with them. Chu Si smiled sweetly and said, Then can I order a plate of roast lamb? Lin Yuan used his hand to rub the hair on Chu Si's head. Lin Yuan rubbed Chu Si's hair with his hand and said, Don't worry. Why do you want to eat lamb? I'll roast fish for you when we go to the barbecue shop later. Chu Si stuck out her tongue. Although she knew that her family was rich, she was still not used to this feeling. Chu Si stuck out her tongue. Although she now knew that her family was rich, she still hadn't gotten used to this feeling. Because of the hardships and frugality of his childhood, it had long been engraved in his bones. Of course, this didn't mean that she valued money very much. On the contrary, she did not scrimp on the 100,000 Federation dollars that Lin Yuan had transferred to her. The metal that was fed to the sharp iron horn bull was the better type that it could consume at the bronze level. Now, not many of the 100,000 federal coins were left. There is an old saying that children from poor families take charge of the household early. Even though Chu Si wasn't in charge, she understood the true nature of the world. Looking up from the lowest level, one's eyes were filled with endless truth. In this kind of reality, Chu Si knew who she was relying on in this world. He also understood what he needed to do if he wanted to survive in this world and make Lin Yuan happy. That was to study hard and increase his strength. Only by becoming an expert would he be able to help Lin Yuan and his elder brother. Therefore, after parting ways with Lin Yuan, she had not worked to earn money. Instead, he spent all his time on his studies. Now, when she looked at Lin Yuan, she felt indescribably relaxed and happy. Chu Si's relaxation did not come from the improved affluent life, but because Lin Yuan's body had recovered. She was happy that even in this great world, she and Lin Yuan had persevered and never separated. Lin Yuan called for a car and asked, Chu Si, how does it feel to use the sharp iron horn bull? How do you feel about using the sharp iron horn bull? Which aspect do you want to focus on when choosing your next fae? Lin Yuan could help Chu Si choose her second fae. However, he also needed to respect her opinion in the general direction. Chu Si's expression suddenly did not look too good, and she raised her fist angrily and said, The sharp iron horn bull is especially good, and I like it very much. The sharp iron horn bull is very good. I really like it. However, a few of my classmates gave me a nickname, Big Iron Bull. That's too much. Lin Yuan could not help but slap his forehead when he heard Chu Si's words. When he was choosing the fae, he had only cared about the fae's strength. He had not been picky about the appearance. Firstly, the conditions at that time really did not allow it. Secondly, the sharp iron horn bull's exclusive skill, sacrifice, was indeed a divine skill in Lin Yuan's opinion. This exclusive skill could be used from beginning to end with a Fei. As the Fei became stronger, the sacrifice exclusive skill would be more powerful. It would be a pity if he did not choose the sharp iron horn bull. Moreover, 100 years after the spirit chi awakening, strength was fundamental. Everything else was just icing on the cake, and could not even be considered warmth in times of need. Lin Yuan had the memories of his previous life, and he was no longer a hot-blooded youngster. As an elder brother, perhaps he should bring his sister to help her teach the person who gave her the nickname a lesson, and get back at him. However, Lin Yuan would not do that. Chu Xi was an independent individual, and had to integrate into this society. Therefore, everything that happened now required Chu Xi to experience it. Only through experience would one grow. Lin Yuan would not intervene at all costs unless something that truly endangered Chu Xi occurred. Chu Xi said again, "The sharp iron horn bull is very powerful. The sharp iron horn bull is very powerful. Now even the seniors might not be able to beat me." Chu Xi was very happy to talk about her results. Chu Xi was originally a modest and introverted person. Now that he had revealed his results, he hoped to share this happiness with Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan looked at the confident look on Chu Xi's face, and proudly talked about his experience in the combat class. Lin Yuan felt his heart was extremely full and happy. It turned out that he was right to insist on sending Chu Xi to school no matter how difficult it was. After chatting for a while, Lin Yuan and Chu Xi decided on the direction of the defense-type Fei that Chu Xi wanted to contract. This time, Lin Yuan and Chu Xi's ideas were quite in line. Chu Xi needed to contract a traditional purely defense-type Fei. It would not be like the sharp iron horn bull, which wore a defense-type skin, but swaggered around like an offense-type Fei. During the meal, Lin Yuan and Chu Xi ate 3 grilled fish alone. After the spirit chi awakening, the ocean had become wider and deeper, and the degree of danger was even more immeasurable. There was a port next to the Xia region. Even under such favorable geographical conditions, the price of fish food was still sky-high compared to meat. In the past, even during the new year, Lin Yuan could only go to the market to buy a normal sea fish head for Chu Xi. When he came back, he would cook fish head soup. Chapter 64. Given Lin Yuan's speed of earning radiance dollars, eating a few fish was really a piece of cake. After the meal, Lin Yuan transferred 50 radiance dollars to Chu Xi through his Star Web account. Chu Xi had never seen so much money before. However, when she looked at Lin Yuan, she only felt warmth in her heart, and everything was at ease. Chu Xi, the sharp iron horn bull needs to eat more now. It needs all kinds of metals to strengthen its skin's defense and horn's destructive power. I'll mail you a pot of silver usnia later. The sharp iron horn bull is a herbivorous Fei. Apart from eating metals, it can make the sharp iron horn bull stronger with silver usnia. Chu Xi nodded. There was no need for gratitude between siblings. If Chu Xi had to thank someone, it would be endless since she was 6 years old. Previously, Teacher Bao had asked Chu Xi to strive to get the school's recommendation at the end of her first year of high school. She would become a seated contestant of the Redbud 100. Chu Xi had always kept this in mind. Now, Chu Xi planned to apply for an independent dormitory from the school after returning. The resources that Lin Yuan had given her were simply too shocking, and it was not suitable to take them out in a shared dormitory. After applying for an independent dormitory, Chu Xi would redouble her efforts and use all her energy to fight for the title of a seated contestant of the Redbud 100. Afterward, she would strive for the dreams of all the Radiance Federation students. Radiance 100 sequence. This was Chu Xi's ambition. People born in insignificance were like fireflies, and none of them wished to be more than a flash in February. Chu Xi's ambition was very firm, and it was both ambition and a goal. A firefly yearned to become an immortal radiance. Lin Yuan did not continue to give Chu Xi any more instructions. He was at ease and proud of his sister. Chu Xi and Lin Yuan shopped and bought some delicious snacks and fruits. Lin Yuan had specially picked them for Chu Xi to bring back to express her gratitude to Teacher Bao. As they walked, They happened to walk to the Redbud City's Rare Lifeform Pavilion. The Rare Lifeform Pavilion had existed since the Spirit Chi Awakening. It was the largest and only auction organization on the Star Web. It was officially established by the Radiance Federation. Apart from the Rare Lifeform Pavilion on the Star Web, it would hold a grand auction event every once in a while. If one wanted to auction something on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion, they would have to pay a certain handling fee and put it on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion. Someone else will raise the price at a specific time. The Rare Lifeform Pavilion only displayed the current highest bid. So if a participant wanted to obtain a treasure, they only needed to raise the bid again. Of course, he could also choose to contact the seller and conduct a private transaction through bartering. If that was the case, the handling fee for placing the item on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion would not be refunded. Most people didn't care about the fees. They would pay a certain processing fee to place the item on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion. If they had a specific intention, they would normally leave a message under the fee and conduct a specific transaction. The transaction fee was nothing more than using the Rare Lifeform Pavilion as a platform to complete the transaction. Unlike the Star Web's Rare Lifeform Pavilion, the products in the Star Web's Rare Lifeform Pavilion were all interconnected. In each of the Radiance Federation's main cities, the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's goods would also be auctioned, and it wasn't much different from the Star Web. However, the fees in the main city's Rare Lifeform Pavilions weren't interconnected. The fees in the various Rare Lifeform Pavilions were all put up for sale by the locals. Compared to the Star Web, the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's physical shopping mall had much harsher standards. Normal items rarely had the qualifications to be auctioned in the Rare Lifeform Pavilion. Lin Yuan said as he patted Chu Xi's shoulder. "Come, let's go in and take a look." Lin Yuan knew that he wouldn't be able to afford most of the phase and spiritual ingredients in the Rare Lifeform Pavilion. However, there was a specific area in the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's physical shopping mall that wasn't available on the Star Web. This area would sell rare normal and elite phase that few people had seen before. This area was the place that Lin Yuan wanted to visit tonight. Chu Xi was rather reserved, as she had never stepped into such a place before. "Let's go take a look. There might be something suitable for your second fei." After entering the Rare Lifeform Pavilion, one would need to go through the Star Card's identity verification. After Lin Yuan and Chu Xi's verification, they would be able to enter the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's first floor without any obstructions. In order to enter the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's second floor, there was a Spirit Chi occupation requirement. A combat class Spirit Chi occupation would need to be at least C rank. A lifestyle class Spirit Chi occupation would need to be at least class 2. If it was a creation master, even if it was a class 1 creation master, the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's third floor would be fully open to the creation master. Lin Yuan wasn't a creation master yet, and his various aspects weren't up to the second floor's standards. It just so happened that the area that Lin Yuan wanted to visit was on the first floor, so Chu Xi led Chu Xi to the specific area. There were plenty of people on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's first floor. As there wasn't any authorization, one just needed to scan the Star Card to be able to enter the first floor without any obstructions. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's first floor looked like a temple fair. As a mature soul from another world, Lin Yuan was able to quickly integrate into this world because he had a family, a younger sister, and responsibilities in this world. Another important reason was that this world wasn't dark. There might be difficulties and bad people struggling at the bottom, but this world wasn't cold and indifferent. For example, the Rare Lifeform Pavilion was an official trade organization with an extremely high threshold. The first floor was open to all Radiance Federation citizens. Even if one wasn't a Spirit Chi professional, as long as they registered, they would be able to enter. This was a kind of attitude. "Lin Yuan, look at that white little fox. It is so cute with 2 tails. But I have never seen this fei in the textbooks." Lin Yuan looked in the direction that Chu Xi was pointing and recognized the fei. "How is this a little fox?" It was a twin-tailed snow ferret. The twin-tailed snow ferret looked cute and was lazily lying in the fei storage box. However, it was an extremely rare assault-type ice-type fae. It would only occasionally appear in the forests of the extreme North's glacial regions. If Lin Yuan didn't have genius illusion glasses and true data, he wouldn't have been able to recognize this cute little thing as a twin-tailed snow ferret. Lin Yuan probably wouldn't have been able to recognize this cute little thing as a twin-tailed snow ferret. The twin-tailed snow ferret's freezing ability was already at the top of the silver elemental phase. This little twin-tailed snow ferret's price had already reached the high price of 1,100 radiance dollars. The price of a fae might be related to its grade, but that was only for faes that were circulating in the market. However, that was only for faes that were circulating in the market. For those faes that ordinary people wouldn't have seen in their lifetime in the rare life form pavilion, the price and grade didn't have much of a relationship. After all, people who could afford such faes would naturally be able to find creation masters to evolve their faes. Lin Yuan didn't consider a silver fae like the twin-tailed snow ferret. Chapter 65. The rare life form pavilion's first floor was as lively as the temple fairs that Lin Yuan had visited in his previous life. Most of the people coming and going had a joyous expression on their faces. In fact, most of the people who were strolling around the rare life form pavilion's first floor were people who couldn't cultivate spirit chi. Spirit chi professionals were also a minority. The first floor of the Radiance Federation's major cities' Purple Thistle pavilions was always the place that people who couldn't cultivate spirit chi were closest to spirit chi professionals. Every display stall would have a fae seller beside it. For example, the seller of the two-tailed snow ferret was introducing the two-tailed snow ferret to a little lowly and her mother. The little lowly could see that she truly liked the cute two-tailed snow ferret, but it was obviously not suitable to be the first fae to form a contract with. A spirit chi professional's spiritual energy would constantly increase. The first fae to form a contract with would at most be a bronze fae. If one wanted to form a contract with a silver fae, they might not be able to withstand it and would be devoured by the fae. In the Radiance Federation, there were cases of carelessly forming contracts with high-grade faes, resulting in a spiritual energy breakdown due to the fae's backlash. A spiritual energy breakdown would immediately turn a person into a vegetable. Even if one could find a high-ranked spirit chi professional to awaken it, the spiritual spatial zone's collapse was irreversible. This was also why a spirit chi professional's spiritual energy collapse would turn a spirit chi professional into an ordinary person who could sense spirit chi, but couldn't form a contract with a fae. The masked man sitting on the ground gave Lin Yuan a feeling that he was incompatible with the surrounding environment. The surrounding environment was leisurely and relaxed. However, the masked man sitting cross-legged on the ground might not have a clear face, but he emitted an exceptionally gloomy aura. This gloomy aura had a trace of emptiness and numbness. This feeling was rather familiar to Lin Yuan. It was just like when Lin Yuan realized that he couldn't sense spirit chi, and that his spiritual energy was extremely weak. However, at that time, there was a huge change in his family, and he had to bring Chu Ci to survive. There wasn't a chance for Lin Yuan to immerse himself in his own world, so this despair had been suppressed at the bottom of his heart. It was only when Lin Yuan's body had recovered that it was released. Of course, the reason Lin Yuan was able to observe the masked man was because there were 4 cocoons wrapped in layers of silk nets in the display cabinet beside the masked man. Among the 4 cocoons, the 3 small ones were only the size of a date, while the big one was only half the size of a fist. The white silk threads were intertwined in a pattern, and the silk nets on each cocoon were of a different color. The silk threads were intertwined together regularly, and the silk nets on each cocoon were different colors. Lin Yuan had paid attention to these cocoons because he had been activating true data. These 4 cocoons were truly treasures. The white jujube-sized cocoon looked extremely ordinary, but under Lin Yuan's true data, the cocoon was as white as a date. Lin Yuan didn't star that the blue flash butterfly pavilion. If word of the blue flash butterfly got out, many people in the Radiance Federation might not know about it. The blue flash butterfly was a normal fae, It had a gorgeous blue color, and would flap its wings when flying. Because of the blue scale powder on its wings, it looked more like it was flashing than flying. Fei. Blue Fei Pavilion in as Fei Fei as the blue. As Fei 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 as wings the blue wings Fei 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 rank. Our Fei Fei was in rank of the top Fei insect. In fact, the ranking of the blue light goddess butterfly had always been controversial. During the election, the blue light goddess butterfly had been ranked in the top 3. However, only the blue light goddess butterfly's basic abilities were powerful, and its high-grade abilities were relatively useless. In the final ranking, even if it was ranked in the top 3, it was only ranked 6th. This matter had caused a lot of dissatisfaction among the voters. What Lin Yuan wanted was the blue flash butterfly's basic ability, silence scale powder. The blue flash butterfly's scale powder had a silence effect. Indulgence was a very powerful control-type ability. There were only 2 ways for Feis to evolve. One was ancestral atavism, and the other was spiritual mutation. Spiritual mutation phase took the path of magic attacks. The silence scale powder restrained all life forms with spiritual mutation. When enveloped by the silence scale powder, the Fey wouldn't be able to release any abilities. However, the silence scale powder wasn't invincible, and it wouldn't render the exclusive skill ineffective. In fact, if the Fey had a way to destroy the silence scale powder, released by the blue flash butterfly, it would immediately recover its ability to cast spells. Even so, the silence scale powder was one of the few powerful control-type abilities among the control abilities. Lin Yuan had been choosing the next Spirit Lock Fey for Morbius. Lin Yuan had thought of many things, but he had never considered the blue flash butterfly within his scope. As for the reason, it was simple and true. It was because Lin Yuan didn't have the ability to obtain the blue flash butterfly. But now, the cocoon in the masked man's display cabinet had stirred Lin Yuan's thoughts. Butterfly species Feis belonged to the Lepidoptera, one of the 4 major insect species Feis. They were the true nobility among insect species Feis. After the Spirit Chi awakening, butterfly species Feis would be affected by the Spirit Chi's evolution, allowing them to become more beautiful and larger. This also made it easier for butterflies to be preyed on by natural enemies. Therefore, 90% of the Lepidoptera Feis had been wiped out during the Spirit Chi awakening. The remaining 10% had also been eliminated due to various reasons. This also made the chances of butterfly species Feis appearing extremely small and hard to find. The beauty and rarity of butterfly species Feis had always caused their prices to be high. If it wasn't for the fact that butterfly species Feis were relatively rare, most butterfly species Feis weren't good at strong attacks. The price of butterfly species Feis would probably be even higher. But for Lin Yuan, the blue flash butterfly's initial ability was a choice that he hadn't dared to consider in the past. A characteristic of butterfly species Feis was that it was impossible to determine the butterfly species in the cocoon during the cocoon transformation. This was because once other methods were used to detect the butterfly species in the cocoon, it was very likely to cause the butterfly species Feis to develop abnormally. This was also why butterfly species Feis on the market didn't exist in the form of cocoons. Coincidentally, there was a dust powder butterfly among these 4 butterfly cocoons, which was very suitable for Chu Ci. Dust powder butterflies weren't rare, but they were extremely changeable on the path of evolution. Therefore, after the dust powder butterfly evolved, there were many directions of evolution. One of them was what Lin Yuan wanted to create for Chu Ci. The dust powder butterfly would evolve into a Vajra butterfly when it reached bronze due to pure spirit Chi. Starting from the Vajra butterfly, the Vajra butterfly could evolve into a jadeite butterfly if it was endowed with special gems and spirit Chi. Chapter 66. Lin Yuan pulled Chu Ci toward the masked man's counter. Before encountering it, he didn't even dare to choose the blue flash butterfly. Due to the rarity of the blue flash butterflies, Lin Yuan did not even consider them in his consideration. However, now that he had encountered it, this was a great opportunity. Lin Yuan had no reason not to seize this opportunity. Thus, He silently decided that he had to take down this blue flash butterfly. When Chu Xi saw Lin Yuan's expression, she suddenly turned solemn and walked toward the 4 cocoons. Chu Xi followed closely behind Lin Yuan and did not say anything else. Her eyes carefully observed the 4 cocoons. Although she could not see anything unusual, she knew that Lin Yuan was so solemn because the cocoons were extraordinary. "May I ask how much are these 4 butterfly cocoons?" Lin Yuan asked absent-mindedly. The voice reached the masked man's ears. The masked man didn't stand up, he just said indifferently, "If you want to buy everything, just give me 120 radiance dollars, and I'll let you take it away." Lin Yuan was rather surprised. The blue flash butterfly might not be able to buy 120 radiance dollars, but the radiance dollars weren't enough. But for a butterfly cocoon, it was far too expensive. Because the butterfly cocoons couldn't be inspected, every cocoon was like a fortune bag, and there was no guarantee that something would fly out of it. Therefore, butterfly cocoons were rarely sold on the market. Although Lin Yuan wanted the blue flash butterfly, he would not immediately decide to buy these 4 insect cocoons. Just as Lin Yuan was thinking about how to speak, an auntie standing beside him pulled him back and said, "That's right. Young man, don't be fooled. This person had already been here for several days. Who knew what kind of connections he had to be able to set up a stall with these 4 butterfly cocoons? Butterfly cocoons aren't qualified to be displayed in the rare life form pavilion. Butterfly cocoons aren't even worth 50,000 Federation dollars in other shops. This person is selling one for 30 radiance dollars. Could it be that a bronze fay can fly out of it?" The auntie was obviously afraid that Lin Yuan would be fooled, so she spoke a little louder. This caused many people to look in the direction of the display case. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the masked man's tired and hoarse voice. "These 4 cocoons are all wild butterfly cocoons found in the depths of the endless forest." The masked man's words were indifferent, and he didn't say anything else after that. At that moment, the auntie beside Lin Yuan got even angrier. In the depths of the endless forest, even the shortest tree is 30 meters tall. The cocoons are hidden under the leaves of these giant trees. How can you possibly find them? When Lin Yuan heard the man's words, he felt that his heart was stimulated by the stubbornness in those words. The stubborn explanation in the voice's words seemed light and powerless, but it was unusually resolute. The people around them heard the noise and gradually gathered around. For a moment, this counter became the most crowded place on the first floor of the Rare Lifeform Pavilion. Everything in the world is inseparable from the principle of the eye of the typhoon. That is, when everyone converges in the same direction, this place would become the eye of the hurricane and attract people from all directions. Just then, a staff member wearing the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's special uniform walked over. He went to the front of the counter and immediately said to the chattering auntie, "Auntie, although I know that you are doing this out of kindness, the counters in the Rare Lifeform Pavilion are all approved by the Rare Lifeform Pavilion." When the auntie heard that the Rare Lifeform Pavilion would vouch for her, she no longer spoke as loudly as she did to a swindler. However, she still pointed at the 4 cocoons and asked, "Why are these 4 cocoons qualified to appear in the Rare Lifeform Pavilion? Isn't it impossible to detect the species of the butterfly that is transforming inside the cocoon?" The auntie's words caused the staff member to be momentarily at a loss for words. He couldn't possibly say that it was because the higher-ups had instructed for special treatment, right? The staff member was also puzzled as to why the higher-ups would give such preferential treatment to a masked man who looked so depressed. They didn't even mind breaking the rules of the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's first floor. If it was because of money or power, it was impossible for the masked man to do it. But if it was something else, the staff member couldn't think of any other reason. At that moment, the masked man's phone rang. When he picked up the phone, the masked man's body immediately tensed up. Lin Yuan might not be able to see the masked man's expression, but he knew that it definitely wasn't calm. After the call, the masked man looked at Lin Yuan and said, "If you want to buy it tomorrow, come over at this time tonight. If you want to buy them tomorrow, come over at this time tonight. I can prove to you that I found these butterfly cocoons in the depths of the endless forest." After speaking, The masked man hurriedly left the rare life-form pavilion. Lin Yuan didn't expect that his slight hesitation would actually cause so many accidents. Now that the seller had left, it was obvious that the transaction wasn't going to happen. Since the masked man had given the time, Lin Yuan decided to come back tomorrow. Without completing the transaction and obtaining the blue flash butterfly, Lin Yuan didn't feel at ease. At the same time, Lin Yuan had an idea. If there was another fei that he liked in the future, as long as he could afford it, he must not hesitate. Otherwise, the opportunity might slip away in front of his eyes. After experiencing this incident, Lin Yuan didn't have the mood to continue strolling around the rare life-form pavilion's first floor. If he could complete the transaction tomorrow, one of the 4 cocoons would be a Vajra butterfly, and Chu Ci would have a fei. Everything would depend on tomorrow night. After sending Chu Ci back to school, Lin Yuan took a car to the vicinity of the Creation Master Association. He found a place to stay near the Creation Master Association and prepared to participate in the Creation Master exam tomorrow morning. In the City Lord residence, which wasn't far from the Creation Master Association, a woman wearing alizarin red was sitting on the main seat of the City Lord residence. She said to the 3 people standing below, "Increase the number of people guarding the dimensional rift in the vicinity of Redbud City. Send double the manpower to guard the dimensional rift in the vicinity of Redbud City. Reinforcements must be sent out within 2 months. In addition, put aside tomorrow's matters. If you have anything to say, make a record in advance and discuss it with me tonight." 2 of the 3 people standing below acknowledged the order and retreated, but an old man still stood there and said, "Lord Ling Xiao, what do you think of the seated contestants that this batch of Spirit Qi students reported?" "Lord Ling Xiao, what do you think of the seated contestants reported by these Spirit Qi students?" Ling Xiao took a silk scroll, and on it were rows upon rows of personal information. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated contestants' names, but only less than 5 of them were crossed out. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated players' names, but in the end, there were less than 5 names that were matched. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated contestants' names, but only 5 of them were marked with a check mark. Chapter 67. The white-haired elder stood below and listened attentively to Ling Xiao's arrangement. However, he was obviously puzzled by Ling Xiao's arrangement. He asked, "Lord Ling Xiao, according to the usual practice, the lower-grade cadets are all reserve members. They will be judged based on their performance in the second year. Why do you value the first-year cadets so much?" The white-haired elder was the dean of the Redbud Advanced Spirit Qi Academy. The Redbud Intermediate Spirit Qi Academy was considered a school for Redbud Advanced Spirit Qi Academy's disciples. Therefore, the elder would look through the name list before showing it to Ling Xiao. The elder would provide a list of information every month. It was the information of everyone on the list, as well as the comments on their growth over the past month. Redbud City was a large city in the Radiance Federation with vast land and abundant resources. However, Redbud City's nurturing of the younger generation wasn't as outstanding as Redbud City's economic development. Among the 32 major cities in the Radiance Federation, Redbud City's economy was ranked in the top 5. Currently, Redbud City only had 3 cadets in the Radiance 100. One of them had even fallen out of the Radiance 100 sequence due to some reason 2 years ago. This also made Ling Xiao pay more attention to the nurturing of the younger generation. The white-haired elder was entrusted with the heavy responsibility of collecting information on every youth with potential in Redbud City. After Ling Xiao's deliberation and screening, the 20 seated contestants of the Redbud 100 would be decided. Ling Xiao wouldn't directly appoint the remaining 80 spots, and they would be decided through competition. The white-haired elder didn't understand. A first-year cadet, who had just participated in the combat class, could only see talent. He couldn't see any potential, yet Ling Xiao had actually picked such a cadet. Talent was innate, and it was indeed very important. However, in the elder's eyes, the potential displayed through hard work was equally important. "Just do as I say." After speaking, Ling Xiao shut his mouth and lowered his head. He looked at the name list in his hand carefully, and used a pen to arrange the order of the cadets with question marks. The white-haired elder took his leave, and couldn't help but sigh when he left. Ling Xiao's character was really getting more and more domineering. However, the elder naturally had to do his best to complete the mission that Ling Xiao gave him. The grand hall was quiet. Ling Xiao was wearing a red almond dress, and it seemed as though the grand hall was dyed with layers of gorgeous colors. A long while later, Ling Xiao stood up and caressed the spirit material decorations on the hall. This year's Redbud 100 should have a higher chance of becoming a Radiance 100 than in previous years. The exclusive skill Sacrifice has actually appeared again. However, all of this is considered a trivial matter as compared to tomorrow. I wonder if this fellow who broke the record and scored full marks for all 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations can pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam. Since the Moon Empress said that they would only be able to pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam during the first exam, then they would have to report it. Even if Lin Yuan was a prodigy, if he couldn't pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam, he wouldn't have a chance. If it wasn't for that calamity, Redbud City wouldn't be in such a difficult situation. Everything would be left to tomorrow. Lin Yuan woke up early the next day. As Genius was sleeping soundly in his embrace, Lin Yuan used his hand to gently stroke Genius' snow-white fur. It was so soft that he didn't want to let it go. Genius used its little head to gently rub against Lin Yuan's hand with a lazy feeling. Lin Yuan smiled and scratched Genius' chin. Genius immediately let out a comfortable purr. While looking at Genius, Lin Yuan couldn't help but think of Chimey. He wondered how Chimey was doing in the store for the past day. Genius let out a meow. Lin Yuan was worried about Chimey, but Genius wasn't. It didn't know what time Chimey had slept last night. It was probably live streaming on the star web again. When the sun was hanging in the sky and spreading its warmth, the outside world became prosperous. Lin Yuan headed straight to the Creation Master Association. When he arrived at the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan saw Elder Ning standing at the entrance from afar. Elder Ning was calmly breathing in the morning air, and waved his hand when he saw Lin Yuan. "Come on. Follow me to participate in the Class 1 Creation Master exam. This old man will personally test you for the Class 1 Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan quickly went forward and bowed. "I will have to trouble Elder Ning." Elder Ning patted on Lin Yuan's shoulder twice and said, "Let's go. Let's go. I've prepared a separate breeding room for you today. You can take the test in the breeding room." Creation Masters required an extremely quiet environment to nurture phase. Nurturing phase and allocating spiritual ingredients was a very meticulous job that couldn't be disturbed. Lin Yuan followed behind Elder Ning. The Class 1 Creation Master exam was very simple for him, but Lin Yuan would have to carefully consider his performance during the exam. How exactly should he perform? If I can easily complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam, will it really be beneficial to me? The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. This was a problem that Lin Yuan would always have to face. Lin Yuan had to rely on himself in this world, and didn't have any foundation. Therefore, he would have to carefully consider every step he took. If he took a wrong step, he wouldn't just be implicated, but he would also be implicated. Just as Lin Yuan was pondering, Elder Ning turned around and saw Lin Yuan's expression. "There is no need to be nervous. Didn't you say yesterday that it won't be difficult if you don't know it? If you are really going to strive for Class 2 like you said yesterday and succeed, this old man will probably be envious of you." After hearing Elder Ning's words, Lin Yuan gritted his teeth. "Risk it. Since I have already obtained full marks for all 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupation exams and broke the record, I might as well forcefully take a step forward for the Creation Master exam." Since Elder Ning said this, he definitely wouldn't harm Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan didn't know what exactly would make Elder Ning envious. "What do you mean, Elder Ning?" Elder Ning laughed heartily. "Kid, you are rather ambitious. If you want to know what kind of benefits it is, you will have to wait until you pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan could see that Elder Ning was looking at him with eyes that were filled with expectations. Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't disappoint Elder Ning's expectations. It seemed like passing the Class 2 Creation Master exam was truly a great benefit. The Creation Master Association's reform naturally wouldn't be without a target, and there was probably a very deep consideration. Lin Yuan might not be able to guess what these considerations were, but he could guess that this reform was to select new creation masters with more potential. After walking into the breeding room, Lin Yuan saw an elite Fae on the table. It was an elite 9/flawless Fae. Lin Yuan looked at the question on the table. The question was to evolve this elite 9/flawless Ironhead Stoat to bronze grade. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.